text the studio feature. You can get that via the free to download app. And of course, our website, 710knus.com/Steffan. You can email me via the app or the website. Welcome to our potential global audience. Anyone possibly, maybe you're new to the program, you saw some of our social media. You can give us a call, and we always, of course, welcome those of you that listen live stream, especially, not especially, but, if state and you still listen to those of us on the air here, the little engine that could, we greatly appreciate that. And podcasts, commercial break free. You can access those, of course, after the show ends, and Matt puts up every hour of every program that we do. Our social media is at Tubbs Show, TUBBS Show, Facebook and Twitter. Where to start? We'll get into a ton of sound, as I mentioned. I guess I'll just start off with this. When I heard about this, I thought this has got to be a mistake. And many of you call me many things, and that's fine. That's part of my job. But call me maybe naive. If there was one institution in this great country of ours that was just impervious to anything, certainly, of course, we all know the 9 members of the United States Supreme Court, it is political. Even if they would tell you till they were blue in the face that it's not, hello, they are appointed and go through a political process. Yes, I believe that the vast, vast, vast majority of United States Supreme Court justices in the history of this country have been the best of the best jurists. Now, that is maybe tough if we're talking about a more liberal-leaning judge, or for those friends on the left, it may be tough if they are more conservative. But at the end of the day, I'd like to think overall in the history of these United States that it was done, and it was following law, precedents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But if there was one institution that I thought no way, there would be, and there certainly have been. You got your NSA leaks, you've got your CIA leaks, you've got your FBI leaks, you've got your Homeland Security, et cetera, on that. But a leak of a 94-page brief written by a sitting United States Supreme Court justice, and then you throw, and by the way, it's only about probably but there's not even a probably about it, the most talked about, debated ruling of the United States Supreme Court in our history. This is a huge deal. We'll get to phone calls in a moment. Again, 303-696-1971. The leak, to me, is absolutely unbelievable. And I am not a conspiracy theorist. This was no accident. This was strategically leaked. This was done on purpose because, in my humble opinion, the Democrats see what is ahead in November. You've got, as recently as last week, the announcement that $33 billion will be headed to Ukraine. Not going to be a hypocrite with you. I'd rather they send 33 trillion than to have one more man or woman in our military killed in a faraway land in some far-off war. Gas prices, inflation, the stock market. We are in, I would say, at minimum, a low-grade crisis when it comes to the state of where we are today. We are absolutely no more unified. And here's to our friends on the left, a direct message to you. We are no more unified today than we were 3 years ago today. And your guy who's all about unifying the country, he said, is in office today. If you thought that we were 2 days ago not unified, just watch, sit back, pull up a chair, eat some popcorn, and just watch what happens in this country over the coming days, weeks, and months. But back to the Dems. I think, besides the idiots here in Colorado, the Republican Party that, again, I say, Colorado Republicans, we will happily have gun, shoot foot, and then blame the Democrats for pain. We're morons. But besides this state, I think that red wave may in fact circumvent Colorado. But the Democrats know this. And what better way to get maybe an independent who leans a little bit more to the left? What way to get a disgruntled Democrat who has had it with paying $79 more for their monthly visit to Costco? They are pissed off about the gas prices, supply chain issues, empty shelves. What better way to get that? You know what? Some of these Republicans are actually making sense. I might actually cross the line. What better way to pull them back in than have something like this leaked? Again, friends, if you listen, even infrequently, I think I can stand on very firm ground, even if you don't agree with my take as far as this may be a conspiracy, this may be happening. I'm not a conspiracy guy. But with this, holy cow. And also the craziness, the ridiculous statements, and they're doing it for sound bites. And of course, yes, that's part of my job. I'll play it for you. I can criticize. You got the likes of today. Well, the banjo playing senator was there. Michael Bennet wasn't because he's still recovering from COVID, but on the steps of the United States Capitol within the last couple of hours.
Because if Roe v. Wade is overturned, we have to assume there's more to come.
Oh, Chucky. How about outside of the Supreme Court, the screaming, frenetic, I think she's a loony bin. She ran for president. Thank God she's not in there, but I don't know if she'd be any worse than this idiot. There's Elizabeth Warren, everyone.
To work 3 jobs to be able to support the children they have. Well, I am here because I am angry, and I am here because the United States Congress can change all of this.
Yes,
Committed.
Yes.
Understand this. I have seen the world where abortion is illegal. And we are not going back.
Woo!
Not ever.
No.
So say it with me. We are not going back.
We are not going back.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Not ever.
Not
ever.
Ah, thank you, Liz. What I find very interesting is that could have been from 1974, 1978, 1982, 1987, 99, 2014. No, that was this morning. Let's get to full lines, 303-696-1971. Much more on this throughout, obviously, 7 o'clock and much more sound as well. Let's start in Castle Rock. We'll get to Randy in Castle Rock. Hello and good afternoon.
Hello, Mr. Tubbs.
Hello.
I just want to say that this just shows me how far the radical left will go to get their way. They will stop at nothing, and it makes me wonder about the elections coming up, what they will do to change the elections.
Yeah. How long, Randy, did it take you to, when you first found out about this and the leak, and then you realize it's not just a leak. This is a leak about an enormous divisive issue, one of the top divisive issues in our nation's history. How long did it take you to say, you know what, something's just not right here?
I would say almost immediately.
Yes, right?
I don't know that. Yes, I don't know that they've ever had a leak like this before.
Never.
In the Supreme Court.
Never. Never. Brother, thank you. Hang in there. I appreciate your call, and I hope you call again. Love getting our friends in Castle Rock. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a statement from earlier. We'll get to more phone calls, and Randy's line is open, 303-696-1971. I quote now from the statement issued by the Chief Justice within the past few hours. Quote, "To the extent this betrayal of confidences of the court was intended to undermine the integrity of our operations, it will not succeed. The work of the court will not be affected in any way. We at the court are blessed to have a workforce, permanent employees and law clerks alike, intensely loyal to the institution and dedicated to the rule of law. Court employees have an exemplary and important tradition of respecting the confidentiality of the judicial process and upholding the trust of the court. This was a singular and egregious breach of trust that is an affront to the court and the community of public servants who work here. I have directed the marshal of the court to launch an investigation into the source of the leak." Close quote. Chief Justice John Roberts. I would say a lot of that is absolutely true, like an egregious breach of that trust. Greenwood Village. Let's get to Ron. Ron, welcome and good afternoon to you.
Hey, how's it going, Steffan?
Good, man.
Hey, before I get to my point, a quick request. When you have people on hold, please don't play Elizabeth Warren. That was torturing.
Oh, you mean like
To work 3 jobs.
See, I mean, come on, if
Exactly.
you, yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, you talk about John Roberts' statement there. He went further to talk about how that they typically pass around drafts, and it has no bearing on the current decision of the court at this time. And it may not even be John Alito's steadfast position. He may have been asked to write the extreme opinion for circulation and such.
Mm-hmm.
And he did his best. He does a devil's advocate type thing and does his best. And now that's getting passed out as this is it. This is the court's decision.
That's a good point. You're talking about Samuel Alito, who wrote this, and 94 pages. Look, you may be right, but I still, even if this is, let's go to the extreme and let's just have this, and maybe it's practice that we don't know about. The fact that this was leaked, though, is, to me, it's unbelievable. I still have a hard time believing it.
Yeah, and now there's talk of hey, maybe this is the impetus we can use to stack the court again,
Mm-hmm.
or not again, but
I know what you mean.
Get that going again,
Mm-hmm.
kind of stuff. And that's the thing, is they're just getting everybody inflamed. They're getting their base inflamed. I mean, hey, you get them all genned up for
Absolutely.
coming down here again, to the elections and stuff. Hey,
yep. So
wow.
do you think, and I think I know the answer. Do you think this is strategic, absolutely planned, not an accident?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, or somebody may, a like-minded, person in the court system there, in their system, maybe said, hey, I've got this here. What do you think? And that they planned it and said, yeah, let's bring that up.
Yeah.
Personally, I hope it explodes in their face if that comes out that that's what happened, kind of thing, that they're just trying to manipulate the public over something that's not actually the court's decision.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I hope that really, really explodes hard in their face.
Good call, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ron in Greenwood Village. Here's another thing that I don't know. It's not like exactly the right time to talk about this, but maybe before 7:00, I'll give you my opinion. Maybe you weigh in as well. Do you have any issue with some team of reporters at Politico, how they got this? And I would say Politico is established enough that I don't think they would have wanted to perhaps risk repercussions or risk the possibility that this 94 pages was not authentic, which the court then earlier today came out and said, yeah, no, that's authentic. Do you blame Politico at all? Now, before you say, yeah, they should have never done it, especially if you're really fired up and you feel like I do, that this has all the ingredients of a Democrat ploy, that this was a plant, basically. But do you have any issue with Politico then taking it, and they weren't wrong, this was authentic? And before you do that, though, I urge you, those of you, mini history buffs, or you just remember, I urge you to remember the New York Times and the Washington Post and all of that when it came to the Pentagon Papers. The issues surrounding, this currently 94 pages, or the Pentagon Papers, it wasn't good for a lot of people in this country. But I guess you can say, should going back decades, Pentagon Papers, should they have been printed? How about this? Do you blame Politico at all? Artist in Aurora joins us. Welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Hi, Steffan.
Hi.
Okay, they're just trying to get their group behind them because they don't have a lot to get behind the left about. But it's still going to allow every state to decide whether or not to murder infants. So it really doesn't change much of anything. As far as I can understand, I think it was all because they can't find anything else that they can fight on during the midterms.
Well, I don't know if, and you may know better than me, I don't know if every state in the union, as we speak, has made a decision, even before this leak, has made a decision as to what it would do should Roe v. Wade be overturned. Colorado certainly has, and it's disgusting what this state has done. But I do know that about 26 states is pretty much the number that most certainly would ban abortions if Roe were overturned.
Good.
Yeah.
Because first of all, I don't think people all realize that Margaret Sanger started it to kill black babies. That's kind of racist. So again, the left is on the side of the racist.
Yeah. Thank you, artist. I appreciate it. We got to take a break. And when we come back, Adam, you will be first up if you would be so kind to hold through a news break. We'll get that coming up. And I'm telling you, this is one hell of a talk radio day. And again, I'm not going to beg you, but if you have been thinking about this, you have been wanting to get your opinion out, let's do it. Basically, we've got one guest coming up next hour and might even get his take on it. He's running for a House representative seat, but he's a former police officer and United States veteran. Wanted to introduce you to Gabe Evans. He was going to be in studio with us, but because of the news developments, he's going to join us on the phone for our first segment in the 4 o'clock hour. But this is big. And we've got two lines open right now with your name on it, 303-696-1971. Our friends at Drywall Finishing, proud sponsors of this program, and we are proud to tell you about them. They drywall garages and basements, stairwells, and other things that may have been unfinished, whether it's a brand new build you've recently moved into, or maybe it's 35 years old. Nobody ever finished, say, the stairwell to the basement with drywall. You have a company now that you can trust, most certainly. Hire Drywall Finishing. Their work is done with cleanliness in mind, and that is something when you have a drywall project going on. They also come with a 6-month guarantee. Mike and his team are the experts. They have decades of experience and satisfied customers as well. Hiring an expert drywaller over, say, a handyman or handywoman can make a huge difference. From the small fixes, Johnny put the baseball bat through the wall in his bedroom 3 years ago, and you haven't fixed it yet? Well, now you can, because Drywall Finishing can be on your team. They also do those big projects as well as striking smooth wall finishes. Online, 123drywall.com. That's 123drywall.com. It's a family-owned Colorado small business. Call Kelly. She's part of the family. Get your free estimate on the books. 303-988-1709. 303-988-1709. Tell them Steffan sent you. It's 123drywall.com.
Highway's in pretty good shape this afternoon, although there's one crash. It's out west in the Golden area. Westbound 6th Avenue, just before I-70. 2 right lanes. The highway blocked off, backing up 6th Avenue. Better speeds once you get past that wreck. Rest of the drive, not bad. I-25 starting to get heavier into downtown. Speeds down to teens, 20s. Broadway to Colfax. Tech Center in good shape. 270 getting a little busier. Now there's road work southbound Kipling at Hamden. And report of a crash backing up Hamden and Federal. I'm Susan Thielen.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Spring Fest is on at Lowe's. And with aisles of savings on lawn and garden and appliances, you'll find exactly what you need for spring.
The Western Conservative Summit is one of the largest annual gatherings of conservatives in the Western United States. Thousands of attendees, over 100,000 viewers online. I'm Jeff Hunt. Join us June 3rd and 4th at the Gaylord Rockies Resort and Convention Center in Denver, Colorado.
This year's summit features former Trump press secretaries Kayleigh McEnany, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, and many more. Get tickets today at 710knus.com.
Why Boot Barn for your business? Because nothing is more important than your workers' safety and your peace of mind. With a commercial account at Boot Barn, you get a customized program specific to your business. The largest assortment of work boots and workwear for every industry. The convenience of having a one-source nationwide supplier and nationwide customization. You need safety and compliance. We have your back. Commercial accounts at Boot Barn Work.
It's springtime in the Rockies. Come and explore beautiful Carbon County, Wyoming. There's no better time of year to enjoy the natural mineral hot springs in Saratoga. Soak your bones in the healing waters of the Hobo Hot Pool. Free to the public and open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For information and directions, visit WyomingCarbonCounty.com or call 324-3020. Carbon County, Wyoming. Get your West on.
Dr. Gorka here, and I want to talk to you for a minute about 100% drug-free Relief Factor. I've been taking Relief Factor for years now to help me deal with pain in my body. My wife takes it as well. The reason we tell everyone we know about it is simple. We found it really works to help our bodies fight off the inflammation that causes aches and pains. Whether it's the pain of injuries you've sustained or just the natural pains from the mileage over the years, Relief Factor can help. I've never looked back. Almost 70% of the more than 500,000 people who have tried Relief Factor end up ordering more. That's because it works for them the way it works for me. Isn't it time for you to get out of pain? Your first step to becoming pain-free should be to order the 3-week quick start for the discounted price of only $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. That's relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF. Feel the difference.
Are you ready to retire? Inflation is picking up, markets are volatile, and the dream of a comfortable retirement is harder to attain than ever before. The stock market goes up and down is beyond your control, but you're at a point in your life where you can't afford to make big financial mistakes. I'm Al Labaroa, founder of Knight Strategic Wealth. Our investment strategy allows you to go up with the stock market, lock in your gains, and when the stock market goes down, your investment won't lose a dime. This works for your investments, savings at a brokerage firm, or even money at a bank. It's simple, it's safe, and that's why savvy investors work with us. Want to learn more? Text free to 833-898-0500, and we'll send our retirement readiness kit directly to your phone right now. If you want to help build a retirement portfolio that will go up with the market and literally never lose money, get our retirement readiness kit today and see how this strategy can help secure your future. Text free to 833-898-0500. Text free to 833-898-0500.
The Tree Farm's early spring tree and shrub sale now through Mother's Day. See what's on sale at thetreefarm.com. Choose from thousands of shade trees, evergreen trees, fruit trees, and more. And the Tree Farm has thousands of white, pink, or red flowering trees, including spring snow fruitless crabapple and a lot more. And you always get free professional loading. The Tree Farm's early spring tree and shrub sale now through Mother's Day. Come see.
I-25 to exit 235, then 5 miles west to the Tree Farm.
This is George Brockler for Littleton Jewelry. I don't know about you, but a local jeweler I can trust is a little thing that's actually a big thing. Whether it's a watch repair, diamond upgrade, or something else, anything else, we're usually talking about a piece of jewelry that has as much sentimental value as it does monetary value. Littleton Jewelry are my team. I trust for everything from repairs to major purchases. Jesse and his team will take great care of you. Littleton Jewelry is located on Santa Fe, just south of Hudson Gardens. Look for the jewelry repair sign. Visit littletonfinejewelry.com.
News Talk 710 KNUS. Listen live on Odyssey.
Texts coming in already as we're talking about the leak and Roe versus Wade. You watch, friends, you watch what they're going to start doing, and I know it's already underway. They're going to start telling the country all of the things allegedly on the conservative / Republican / common sense. They're going to start telling you and the entire country, especially their side. Here's what the Republicans are going to do next. If Roe v. Wade is returned, we even talked about this with Florida's ridiculous don't say gay bill, because, it just saying gay rhymes. It just flows. No, if anyone actually read that, it did not ban homosexuality. It did not establish, as you drive into Florida, as we have discussed, hi, we need a saliva sample. Somehow, I don't know how we're going to tell, but we need to see if you're gay. If you're gay, you can't come into Florida anymore. That's how ridiculous it is. They've already started it. I heard it today from these idiots on the left. Oh, and by the way, the idiots elected to Congress. What's next? Is Florida going to ban homosexuality? And now there's this one. You remember that absolute tool, Eric Swalwell? Remember him? That guy ran for president for a cup of coffee. He was a freaking moron. And then it turns out he was screwing around with some Chinese woman. Well, he's out today saying that now Republicans, quote, want to ban interracial marriage, close quote. Watch out as the lunacy continues. If you take my advice, keep your feet on the ground, keep fighting, keep speaking the truth. These people are lunatics. Unbelievable. And if you're just clicking on, want you to know where I stand on this leaked information about the Roe versus Wade decision in 73. Isn't it convenient? Country's going to hell in a handbasket. Maybe a red wave is coming. Well, isn't this just perfect timing? I think it's a leak for strategic political reasons. I don't even think I have to go out on my plank for that. Let's get to Adam in Lakewood. Thank you for your patience. Welcome to the show.
Hey, I've got just a quick comment and then a noticing. I do agree with you that I think this is going to be one of the most divisive cases.
Yeah.
But I think the most important Supreme Court case ever is Marbury versus Madison, which gives the court the right of judicial review.
Mm-hmm.
The noticing, riddle me this, Joker. Why was it that the leaked document was a photocopy that was not PDF searchable, and the dissent for that opinion was a PDF that was searchable? I noticed that last night and have been trying to put the dots together.
Good luck. Please tell me if you can. Please tell me, Adam, if you can put those dots together, brother, we'll break the one call a week rule. You're going to call us back, but it's just lunacy. And I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy guy, brother. I'm not. I don't like going down rabbit holes, but with this, to me, after thinking about it for hours and hours, I don't know about you, but thinking about it so long today, I'm like, I just come to this almost, to me, logical conclusion.
It does appear to be that things are pointing in a very political direction.
Yeah.
That this is not a average leak. I mean, the Supreme Court has been a long-standing institution that has been insulated from a lot of this stuff, and I believe this is one of the first.
No, it is. I cannot, certainly in my lifetime. No way. I mean, I'm pretty sure this stuff, man, in our lifetimes, and I want to say even bigger. And I'd love, you don't have to, be an I told you so, friends listening, but if you know of another leak from the Supreme Court, please let me know, because I don't. And I would guarantee you this, it's not as big a leak as this one with such a contentious issue. Adam, I'll give you the final word. Go ahead.
No, that's all. I am very curious to continue to try to connect the dots, and we will see how this all plays out.
All right, my man. Thank you for the phone call. 303-696-1971. Adam's line is open. If you got a busy signal, feel free to give us a call. Again, 303-696-1971. Let's get to Holly in Aurora. Welcome to you, and good afternoon.
Hi, Steffan.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for the call.
You bet. I agree with Artis, and boy, Artis, you are becoming my sister, I swear.
We aim
I
to please.
disagree with you all the time.
We're
It
trying to
seems
join
like-
our listeners together, Holly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I just wanted to put this point in. I was working for a person a long time ago. It's been a long time ago. Anyway, it's a long story, so I'm not going to tell the whole thing. I'm
Okay.
just going to say the end of it. And that was that my employer was being told by her attorney that the abortion doctor that she had 2 abortion clinics that she used for her income. And this abortion doctor that was one of them got shot and killed. And her attorney said to her, I overheard her attorney say to her, sometimes people in this business have to make the ultimate sacrifice and for the cause. And they blamed that abortion doctor's murder on the right. They said it was the right. So all of us listeners, we have to remember the left will do whatever they have to, they have to try to turn the tide. Just dig in your heels, know what you believe, and go for it, because that is what it's going to take. They're in for an all-out war now.
Love you, lady. Great call. Thank you as always, Holly. Once again, I've said this like 7 times over the last, I think, 2 weeks, maybe even more. I wish I could tell Holly she's crazy. No, come on. They'd never. No. All you've got to do is look at this and this and this and this and this. 303-696-1971 is our number. Christy Burton Brown, the GOP chairwoman here in Colorado, released a statement earlier today. And in part, I want to read you the portion she wrote and her words about the leak. Quote, I also want to be clear that this leak was a blatant act of sabotage aimed at bullying Supreme Court justices and undermining the legitimacy of the court. While we pray for the safety of the justices, the full power of the government should also be used to get to the bottom of this leak and hold the individual responsible. Close quote. Hear, I agree. Here's another thing to put in your little conspiracy soup that we're cooking today on the program. How about this? Oh my God, it'd be like the mom who's had it, I saw tweeted out either today or yesterday, last night. This is like a John Grisham novel. How about this? Could be John Clancy too. What if at the end of the day, this is somehow, some way proven that say, just as an example, this goes back to Justice Sonia Sotomayor. What do? Out. And of course, our United States President, Joseph R. Biden, certainly hopes that somehow, some way, this could be, oh, God, please let it be Neil Gorsuch. Get that guy out of there. Let's see. Brian in Arvada joins us. We'll get news coming up. Good afternoon to you.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Hey, man, it's the afternoon. It's not night yet.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. Hey, as far as I know, in the Constitution, there's not, there's nothing in the Constitution that gives you the right to have an abortion. And as far as I know, the Supreme Court is there to uphold the Constitution. They're not there to legislate. So they're not literally saying it's illegal. They're just turning it back to the states, and each state can make their own decision. Even if we want to make a law that it's legal, we can do that through the Senate and the House.
Yeah, but let me just play devil's advocate, and I don't agree with the likes of the psychotic one, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. But what they will tell you is, and they have already said this today, for God's sake. Well, what about the poor woman, the mother who works 3 jobs and she can't afford a plane ticket to Colorado, for example? We're already hearing that. She will have to go get a back alley, dark alley abortion, and she can't do this.
Well, yeah, we know they're all going to use all those arguments that they always have, just like, the poor guy in the ghetto can't afford to get an ID. Because I mean, if you're that desperate, you're probably not thinking about voting at that point. But
probably not.
As far as I know, it's still in a draft, so it's actually not law yet. They write up a draft.
Of course not. It's not.
And then
law
they
yet.
debate it, right?
Correct.
They debate it. So watch out for Kavanaugh. He's the only one I think could turn, because he's the weakest of them all. I just never liked that guy. But yeah,
right.
they're all crazy. I mean, if they're not trying to kill babies, they're trying to abuse babies, or they're trying to sexualize kids in kindergarten. I mean, these Democrats, they're sick people. We all just got to realize that and move forward.
Carry on, my brother. Thank you. Good call. Chris in Aurora joins us, and then we'll take a break for news. Chris, good afternoon.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, brother.
So, a couple of things. First, thank you very much to 45 for having the courage to put guys like Kavanaugh and Coney Barrett and Gorsuch on the court. There's that tired cliche that elections have consequences, and I would never think that we would ever get to this day. If Congress wanted to make abortion legal throughout the country, they've had decades to do so. So the fact that they're talking about it now is a joke. Yeah. Another joke is Bush, in terms of nominating and making Justice Roberts the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. I am disgusted. The fact that he's ruling with the minority, if that draft is true, he's ruling with the minority. And it was one thing to side with Obamacare and calling that a tax, even though nowhere in the law does it call it a tax. But if he truly did rule with the minority, that is sad, because that's not what he said during his confirmation. And I'm hearing a bunch of people from some of the senators are upset that Gorsuch and Kavanaugh are siding with the majority, and that's not what they said during their confirmation meetings. Mm-hmm. Well, it goes both ways. And I look forward to finding out who leaked this. I have no confidence that we're going to find out who leaked it. I don't hold Politico accountable for what they did, because they're no different than the New York Times during the Pentagon Papers.
Absolutely. Mentioned it a few minutes ago.
And I just wish that these people would have had the same enthusiasm for finding out about Hunter's laptop as they did, and trying to figure out who's the leak.
Amen.
But it's, if this is true, if this decision is true, and I really hope that it is, it's a good day. And, Colorado, unfortunately, enough babies are going to get killed in Colorado because of Polis and his folks.
Yeah.
But in terms of what it says throughout the country, in terms of making it legal federally, that's a good decision, and I look forward to reading it.
Great.
Take care, Steffan.
Hey, you too. Great call as always, Chris. Thanks. We'll take news in mere moments, and then a little bit shorter segment coming up. Probably no more phone calls this hour, but we'll open it up after our guest at 4:05. He'll be on with us for our first segment, and plenty of sound to get you right after the newscast. And craziness, just absolute craziness. If you've got car problems now, you've got a team of experts that they are not going to say, never get back to you. Your car will, if it needs an oil change, it'll take 3 weeks. No, my friends at the garage are experts in BMW service and repair. And you know what? Recently they said, we'll do all kinds of cars. So even if you don't drive a BMW, you can use my friends at the garage for all of your service needs. If you do have a BMW like I do, you can pull in there for a KNUS $99 full synthetic BMW oil change special. That is a great value. Small print, excludes diesels and M cars. I've taken my vehicles twice to the garage at minimum, and got the car for the kids who were driving, the beater. They made it, I mean, it's running just perfect. The team at the garage, they've got the talent and the tools and the training to take care of all your vehicle's service needs. Their customer treatment and care is awesome. You're not paying dealer prices. You're not getting hassled to buy a new car every time you come in. They help save you money on car repair and then get you back on the road. Again, the KNUS $99 full synthetic BMW oil change special. They are 2 locations, just off of Santa Fe and Union in Englewood, or in Parker on Dransfeld, south of Lincoln. Check them out, bmwrepairexperts.com. That's bmwrepairexperts.com. And be sure to tell them Steffan sent you.
News Talk 710. Update.
People across the country are marching and mobilizing to the possible Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. Women's March organization rallied supporters for abortion access to march at their local federal building, town hall, or town square. Rise Up for Abortion Rights has protests going on today across the country. Meantime, a pro-life protester is in custody after free climbing a San Francisco tower. Planned Parenthood of the Rockies getting ready for an increase in women seeking abortions. Medical Director Christina Tosi tells the Gazette she sees Colorado as an island in the middle of an abortion desert if it turns out the U.S. Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade. President Biden condemning atrocities and war crimes being committed by Russian forces in Ukraine. Biden visited a weapons factory in Alabama, praised Ukrainians for their courage. He said they're making fools of the Russian military in many cases. The NFL player arrested back in January after he was caught wandering naked in front of a South Florida daycare center is being sued by the deputy he's accused of attacking. Malik McDowell is criminally charged with battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting on an officer with violence, and indecent exposure. Today is National San Architect Day. Storage area network architects perform the thankless job of managing America's IT infrastructure. This update brought to you by Indeed.com. Spring into spring hiring with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Dow finished up today 67 points. I'm Roger Criddlebaugh.
One highway crash this afternoon out in the Golden area, westbound 6th Avenue Freeway just before I-70. Now all lanes there just open. Traffic is a bit slow trying to get out to I-70, but that's going to get better pretty quick. No other problems affecting the interstates. I-25 getting heavier into downtown, building on 270, the I-70 drive. Now there's a wreck in the drive at 6th Avenue in Calumet, eastbound 6th, just past I-25. A wreck 104th in Huron, Hamden and Federal, and construction southbound Kipling at Hamden. I'm Susan Phelan.
This report is sponsored by Discover.
Mostly cloudy to partly cloudy through the rest of your afternoon. We'll be in the low to mid-60s. South winds of 10 to 20, up to 30 miles an hour. Those southeast winds bringing in a little bit of moisture. There will be some showers and a few thunderstorms developing late this afternoon and evening, and a few showers overnight, a low near 40. Cooler and cloudy Wednesday. Highs low to mid-50s. Developing rain showers and thunderstorms Wednesday. Lingering showers and thunderstorms Wednesday night. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day 710 KNUS.
The fastest way to know what your home would sell for today is from the Ribble Group. Keller Williams DTC. Simply text your address to 800-763-3000. Don't call, just text your address to 800-763-3000.
Our workforce needs work. I'm Holly Robinson Peete. Join me, Delivering Jobs, and the Society for Human Resource Management in creating pathways to 1 million jobs for those with intellectual and developmental differences.
To learn more, please visit deliveringjobs.org.
First, we decide where we want to go. Then we need to know the best way to get there. Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold. We're the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. We teach people how to own physical gold and silver. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink Award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest #1 national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000. Get the best information, the best process, the best service, the best value. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles. Come and celebrate Mother's Day at the Butchery in Arvada on Sunday, May the 8th from 2 p.m. till 9 p.m. Treat Mom. Incredible beef menus of bacon-wrapped filet mignon, garlic butter mushrooms, or Black River blue cheese encrusted fillets, and of course, the Butchery's succulent prime rib. If Mom loves fresh seafood, get the cold water lobster tails, juicy jumbo sea scallops, or the savory bourbon barrel salmon. Make your Mother's Day reservation today by going to thebutcheryarvada.com. It's thebutcheryarvada.com.
Okay, let's start unloading the sod over here.
The grass is always greener when Haruka's Lawn Care does the mowing.
And then we want to get the flower bed started before lunch.
They need a new landscaping designer to keep their budding business growing.
Oh, can we double check the incline here? This one needs to drain this way.
Indeed can help them hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
New
United States Army veteran, Black Hawk helicopter pilot. He wants to be a state representative. What the hell is he thinking? We'll talk with Gabe Evans. Gabe Evans joins us. He was going to be in studio for the hour, but he instead, because of all of the Supreme Court stuff, we are going to have one segment with him, and then we'll invite him back later on. Here is just a compilation of the justices fairly recently that have gone through confirmation hearings, talking when asked about Roe v. Wade.
Is Roe a super precedent?
How would you define super precedent? And I'm answering a lot of questions about Roe, which I think indicates that Roe doesn't fall in that category. And scholars across the spectrum say that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled. But descriptively, it does mean that it's not a case that everyone has accepted and doesn't call for its overruling.
As a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times. Casey is precedent on precedent, which itself is an important factor.
Senator, as the book explains, the Supreme Court of the United States has held in Roe versus Wade that a fetus is not a person for purposes of the 14th Amendment. And the book explains that.
Do you accept that?
That's the law of the land. I accept the law of the land, Senator. Yes.
I'm Steve Kathan. The news about the reported draft opinion triggered sharp reaction from longtime activists on both sides of the abortion issue. Randall Terry is the founder of the anti-abortion group Operation Rescue.
We will dance on the grave of Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade will be on the ash heap of history.
Carrie Moss of the American Civil Liberties Union.
It would deprive half the nation of a fundamental constitutional right that has been enjoyed by millions of women for over 50 years.
Last fall, 62% in a CBS News poll favored keeping Roe versus Wade in place.
And that from earlier today, and it, friends, will most certainly continue. Your phone calls coming up until 7 o'clock. Our guest in the first segment of the 4 o'clock hour. And timing is everything, isn't it? Just very interesting how this comes out as we're getting close to an election. Thanks to our friends at Advanced Hair Restoration, they can help you reverse years or even decades of hair loss. They've got a simple one-day treatment. Your own natural hair will begin to regrow the very next day. That new hair backed by the Advanced Hair Guarantee. It works for men and women across all ages, works for bald spots, receding hairlines, thinning hair. You can now address the many patterns of hair loss. Their advanced FUE treatment has already changed tens of thousands of people's lives, people just like you.
Still talking about our interview with Dinesh D'Souza from yesterday about his movie 2000mules.com. Did you see it? Are you going to see it? What did you think? Also tomorrow, what's the aftermath of this explosive leak about overturning Roe versus Wade by the Supreme Court, and more questions raised about a third-party candidate and when she became a third-party candidate?
George Brockler, weekday mornings from 6 to 10 on News Talk 710. KNUS.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher for MediShare. If something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, right? Switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save the typical family $500 a month. Wow. What would you do with $500 extra every single month? Pay some bills, fill up your gas tank, even as challenging as that is these days. Maybe take a vacation. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. I learned that the customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's amazing. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. And the very best part of all is that people save money and they're happier with MediShare. MediShare is a godsend. Give them a call right now, 855-94-BIBLE. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. MediShare, here's the number, 855-94-BIBLE. That's 855-94-BIBLE for MediShare.
This is the Cenegenics Health Minute with my good friend, Dr. Tim Watt.
Hi, I'm Dr. Watt from Cenegenics. At Cenegenics, we don't give you a diet, we teach you a healthy lifestyle. I don't like to use the term diet because it implies something you do for a little while. That's why all diets work and why all diets fail. The crappy way you're eating is a big part of why you're so miserable that you start a diet. You change what you eat and your body responds to the change. But with a diet, you either reach a short-term goal like losing 10 pounds, or you get tired of eating a different way and you go back to the garbage you ate before. Once you do that, the weight, the joint pains, the brain fog, they all come back. Rather than yo-yoing on and off diets, I want you to learn to eat for life. You're eating to literally save your life, and it's a way to eat for the rest of your life. By learning not just what to eat, but why you're eating it, you can get off the sickening standard American diet and eat your way to better and longer health.
Call Cenegenics today at 720-387-3681 or visit denver.cenegenics.com.
UFCW Local 7 President Kim Cordova is attacking her own union members who worked during a strike, issuing fines totaling thousands of dollars, even insisting members pay Local 7 any wages they earned, making it harder for her members to keep food on the table, all while Cordova made over $200,000 and Local 7 has $14 million in the bank. Massive fines and vindictive attacks. Kim Cordova is hurting union members. Paid for by the Center for Individual Freedom.
News, traffic, weather, and the latest on Ukraine. News Talk 710, KNUS, Denver. The news now.
It's 4 o'clock, partly cloudy skies. We have 59 degrees at DIA, your forecast, and first alert traffic coming right up. Former President Obama is asking Americans to join activists to stand against the draft Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. He and former First Lady Michelle released a statement on Twitter expressing disappointment with the alleged decision, writing that it would reverse nearly 50 years of precedent. They criticized the fact that it would give such a personal decision to politicians instead of individuals. 710 traffic and weather now.
Oh, it's in great shape for us this afternoon. No problems right now. Just starting to get busy. Eastbound 6th Avenue, pretty slow from Federal trying to get onto I-25. And there's a crash just past I-25, 6th Avenue at Calumet. Now, the rest of the problems off Highway, Hamden and Federal, crash 104th and Huron. I'm Susan Phelan.
This report is sponsored by Discover. When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Mostly cloudy skies. There will be some showers and a few thunderstorms developing this evening as well as overnight. Wind shifting to the north, a low near 40. It'll be a cloudy, cool day Wednesday, low to mid-50s. Wednesday will bring occasional rain showers and a few thunderstorms to the area. Some of these showers and thunderstorms will be possible overnight Wednesday, a low near 40, 60s Thursday. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day on 710 KNUS.
Partly cloudy, 59 at DIA. This update brought to you by Indeed.com. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Their hiring platform lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all in one place. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit. All eyes are on the Fed for a key decision on interest rates. Here's CBS business reporter Jason Brooks.
Wall Street is betting that the Fed will raise its benchmark interest rate by a half percentage point when it wraps up its two-day meeting on Wednesday, a move that Chair Jerome Powell last month said was likely as the central bank tries to cool off inflation, which is currently at a 4-decade high. It could be the first of several half percentage point moves over the course of 2022, and some investors think a 3/4 point hike is possible this week, a factor that weighed on the stock market in recent weeks.
Aurora lawmakers indicated their support on Monday for storing personal documents left behind in homeless camp sweeps at the Aurora Day Resource Center. Assistant City Attorney Tim Joyce told the council that the lack of a policy for document storage was the final obstacle preventing implementing the ban. U.S. government now says WNBA star Brittany Griner is being wrongfully detained by the Russian government. Dow finished up 67 points today. S&P 500 up 20. NASDAQ up 27.
A flippin' day. What a past little less than 24 hours. The leak and the fate of Roe versus Wade. We took great calls. Thank you so much to all of you who got on the air. Those of you that tried, maybe got a busy signal. Coming up after this first segment, we will most certainly open up the phone lines again. We've got a great guest previously scheduled, and you know how sometimes news works. I wanted to have our guest in studio with us, but you know what? I'll save him a couple bucks in gas, and we'll still get a chance to hear this United States veteran and former police officer who wants to represent his district, I believe District 48 in Colorado. So we'll talk with Gabe Evans coming up in just a moment. But first, 303-696-1971, the number. Text the studio via the app. Live streaming audio, commercial-free podcasts, all via the website and the app. And, of course, via the app, you can text the studio. Some terrific texts coming in as well. So we'll get to as many as we possibly can. In 1 hour from now, okay, maybe 62 minutes away. But next hour, right after the newscast, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert will join us. Just a few things going on. Before we get to Gabe Evans, I want to play for you couple back to back from, well, I don't like either of these guys, to be quite honest with you. We'll start with the guy who was outside on the steps of the United States Capitol not 4 hours ago. Hey, look at, that's the guy that plays the banjo from Colorado. Even Senator Hick was there. Of course, we still extend our get well wishes to Colorado Senator Michael Bennet, who tested positive for COVID. He is back here in Colorado. First, here's Senator Chuck Schumer.
This is a dark and disturbing day for America. Last night, a report came out that a conservative majority on the United States Supreme Court is ready to overturn Roe v. Wade and uproot decades of precedent affirming a woman's right to an abortion. It is hard not to feel angry, troubled, and deeply disturbed about what overturning Roe would do to women across America. More than 20 states have laws or constitutional amendments in place that would outlaw abortions should the Supreme Court invalidate Roe. Over 80 million women live in those states. If the report is accurate, the decision would be an abomination, one of the worst ever in modern history.
Pretty tough words there. Ominous. Could have been perhaps delivered in 1977, 1982, 86, 2010. No, it was today. By the way, just kind of echoing a few of the texts and emails that have come in. Isn't it interesting that it's only my body, my choice when they tell you what you can think and when it's okay to have my body, my choice? Because it sure as hell wasn't like that with the jab, the shot, the vaccine over the last 2.5 years. It's interesting how things work. So that was outside the United States Capitol, not 4 hours ago. Not 4 hours ago, inside the Capitol, Senate leader for the Republicans, of course, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, I think the story today is an effort by someone on the inside to discredit the institution of the Senate, which continues a pattern that we've observed over the last couple of years. Leader Schumer over on the steps of the Supreme Court, calling out justices by name. Sheldon Whitehouse and others filing amicus briefs threatening the court. Efforts to pack the court. Efforts to have term limits for court justices. What's unique about today is this is the first time we've had somebody on the inside try to attack the institution. Fortunately, I think the Chief Justice has taken that seriously and will find the leaker.
Will they find the leaker? Will they find the leaker? I'm 50-50. Now, there may be a fall guy or fall gal, but what do they do if this is linked back to, like, literally, this is, look, anything is possible in 2020. Martians could come down tonight. It's 2022. What if it's traced back to a Supreme Court justice? Seriously. Stranger things have happened. We'll get much more on that and your phone calls, texts, emails, social media interaction coming up in the later part of the hour. By the way, the president within the last 30 minutes has tweeted out, and I quote, "If the court overturns Roe, it will fall on our nation's elected officials at all levels of government to protect a woman's right to choose, and it will fall on voters to elect pro-choice officials this November." Ladies and gentlemen, isn't that what this is probably all about? Right? All right, let's switch gears because this, I can say young man because he's younger than me. This young man was a proud police officer for more than 10 years. He was an officer, then a sergeant, then a lieutenant, 12 years in the United States Army, as well as the Colorado National Guard. He knows how to fly a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter. And on his website, evans48.com, his message to potential voters is at the end of his opening statement that you see on the website, and I quote, "Together we can stand up for common sense, the Constitution, and pass on freedom, security, and prosperity to the next generation of Coloradans." Welcome in Gabe Evans. Brother, thank you for still agreeing to do it via phone. I hope I saved you at least some hassle in traffic. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate being able to be with you today.
Absolutely. Let's get your take right off the top of what is the biggest story in the United States of America right now, the leak and the potential reversal of Roe v. Wade. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's interesting that everybody talks about, hey, what's going to happen if Roe v. Wade goes away? It's going to come back to the states. And so I'm running for the state legislature, Colorado House District 48, which goes from Brighton up to Greeley, because I want to go down to the state capitol in Denver and weigh in on a lot of policies that are being made in the state. And unfortunately, this year, one of the policies that was passed by our legislature and signed by our governor was it's the most pro-abortion law in the entire nation, House Bill 22-1279. And it basically establishes abortion in the state of Colorado as a fundamental right. And I find that ridiculous, not only because I'm about as pro-life as they come, but because polling shows that over 70% of Americans, to include Democrats and folks that identify as pro-choice, think that there should be restrictions on abortions. But our out-of-touch leftist legislature here in Colorado, they just keep pushing further and further left and passing these radical policies that are just completely out of touch with the population.
Gabe Evans is running for, again, Colorado House District 48. His website, Evans48, and that is the number 4 and 8 put together, 48. You're a dad of two. I am wondering, there are many things with your background in police work and in the military. You don't have to run for office. How come?
Well, like you said, I served for 12 years in the U.S. Army and the Colorado Army National Guard, and then another 10 years in law enforcement. And so between those three careers, I've sworn 3 separate oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution and to take care of my community. And unfortunately, the crazy radical leftist stuff that's coming out of our state capitol has absolutely handcuffed my ability to fulfill those oaths. Crime's out of control. Cost of living is skyrocketing. And every day we hear about how our kids are not getting an education in school, but they're being indoctrinated. That's not the world that I spent 22 years putting my life on the line for every day to pass on to my kids. I actually want to pass on, like you just read off my website, I want to pass on freedom, the Constitution, and common sense to the next generation. Couldn't do that in the military and law enforcement because the attacks are coming from the state capitol. So that's where I want to go.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I want to ask you, we talked so much on this program. We have over the past 18 months or so, most certainly Senate Bill, 217. And I mean, what it did to law enforcement, people like, what you were doing for a decade or more. Where is it that this disconnect from state politics, these people can't seemingly see that, wait a minute, cars are like getting stolen. Like, we're the capital of stolen vehicles in the United States of America, for crying out loud. You don't know if your home's going to get broken into. You don't know if you go downtown Denver, for example, you may get mugged, you may not. The odds are you will not. But we see shootings and murders and this and that. And it's like, I don't know, if you just always, if you look at the state capitol and the legislature, it just seems like we're just going to look past all of that. You touched on, and I met you a couple of weeks ago at a great veterans breakfast, and you really hammered home the crime issue. I don't know. Are you happy you're not a cop now because of the way things are in Colorado?
I mean, it's a two-edged sword there. I loved being a cop. I loved being a police officer. Before the state completely lost its mind, I wanted to be, either a police chief or a sheriff. It's kind of like the ultimate end goal for that career. But then when like you mentioned, Senate Bill 217 happened, and that's just the tip of the spear. There's a whole bunch of other bad bills that they've passed. But when all of that stuff went into effect, and I couldn't actually do the job that I signed up to do, there's only so many times that you can go to a horrible crime scene and have to talk to a victim, and you end the conversation by saying, well, I'm sorry that terrible thing happened to you. I'm sorry you're the victim of crime, but yeah, they've changed the law. There's not really anything that I can do about it. So on the one hand, I loved being a cop. I loved my cops. I loved being a sergeant and a lieutenant and supervising and training and mentoring cops. But like I said, I felt like I was absolutely handcuffed. And so I'm very excited about this opportunity to, be able to run for the state capitol and hopefully put into effect some good policies so that cops can actually go out and do what they want to do, which is protect their communities, protect the citizens, so we can all just go back, to living our lives.
Gabe Evans is our guest. Again, the website, evans48.com. Once again, give us a little bit, if people are just tuning in, the area that you would represent, or how about this? I think you're a great candidate. I think you should be elected. So give us the geographical area again, the people that you will represent when you are elected later on this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's House District 48. If you go onto my website, Evans48, that's the number 48.com, there's actually a button on there where you can click to see an interactive map. For those folks listening, it goes basically from 120th Avenue south of Brighton in Adams County, follows Highway 85 all the way up north, includes all of Brighton, basically up to Greeley, and then out east a little bit.
What issues in House District 48 are you concerned about? And I don't want to say that this may be an issue, but I mean, it's Colorado, for crying out loud. Is fentanyl, for example, an issue in District 48?
Yeah, that's an issue across the whole state, because criminals don't really follow or respect municipal boundaries or anything like that. They're going to go wherever they need to go. As an Arvada police officer, I've actually on duty driven all the way up to Greeley to arrest folks that were dealing drugs. So they go wherever they need to go. But as I've gotten around and talked with folks, going to the Chamber of Commerce meetings, meeting with citizens, really there's three big things that folks are concerned about. They're worried about the crime spike. The church where I go in Brighton, their church van in the parking lot had the catalytic converter sawed off 3 or 4 times last year. Folks are worried about crime. They're worried about the cost of living, and they want their kids to actually be able to get an education, not an indoctrination. Obviously, the area that I represent or will be representing, it's a big agricultural area, a lot of oil and gas in that area. So being able to stimulate the economy, bring down the cost of living by reversing the state's attacks on ag and on oil and gas is obviously another huge concern.
Absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about your military career with Gabe Evans. Evans48.com is his website. Again, House District 48. He would like to represent you good folks that live in the district. Talk about why the military for you. Take us through a little bit of your timeline.
Yeah. So I come from a military family. Both my grandparents served in the Army and the Navy, respectively. On my dad's side, my grandpa was a 20-year naval aviator. And so growing up, I really did kind of idolize him. And so after I graduated high school here in Colorado, I actually interned down at the state capitol for a legislative session. My neighbor made fun of me for that. He said, "Gabe, I thought you were smarter than that. Why do you want to get into politics?" And I said, "It's worse than you know, because I actually know what I'm getting into because I've been down there." But anyway, went off to college, and the Army recruiter came to campus. And at that point, I thought my life was going to take a totally different turn. But he hung around for 3 days. And so on that third day, I went and I talked to him, and then I talked to him some more. And then the next thing I knew, I'm signing on the dotted line, and now I'm one of Uncle Sam's. So graduated college, earned my commission as a second lieutenant, decided to follow in my grandpa's footsteps. So the Army sent me off to Fort Rucker, Alabama, where I learned how to fly Black Hawk helicopters. Colorado native, I knew I wanted to come back to Colorado eventually. And an interesting note is that the National Guard aviation actually flies more than active duty because we have the same flying hour requirements from the federal government. But then when we get done with those, then we got to go do all of the state missions. So I transferred into the Colorado National Guard out at Buckley Air Force Base, have a combat deployment overseas with those folks. Spent several years flying in the mountains, fighting wildfires, doing search and rescues, and, pretty much everything that you'd need a big 3,600 horsepower helicopter to do. Did that for 12 years, and eventually it got to be a little bit too much on the family life, so I had to step away from that.
When you signed on the dotted line, did you have any inkling or any idea that you'd come out on the other side as someone that would go through all of the training, the ups and the downs, the lack of sleep, the studying, no doubt, and by God, at the end of the day, you know how to fly a UH-60?
I like to tell people when they talk about, what was flight school like? I'd say pick any topic you can think of, and I've probably had a class on the subject, ranging from survival school. They taught me all about plants to aeromed. I know more about the human eye than any normal person has a right to know, to the weather, to mechanics, to physics. It's an extremely intense process, to go through that flight school. But you come out of it on the other end, just absolutely proud, not only that you get to serve your country, but that you really kind of learn and discover who you are and what it is that you're capable of doing. It gives you a lot of confidence.
Talk about your deployment from what you're able to share or you want to share.
Yeah, so overseas in the Middle East from 2012 to 2013 in classic Army style. When we left, they said, oh no, you guys are just going to be in one particular area over there. And then by the time the plane had landed, oh, nope, the mission's changed. Because if you recall, that was a time there was a lot of unrest going on in that part of the world. The Arab Spring, ISIS was getting ready to kind of burst onto the scene. So we ended up operating in 9 different countries all over the Middle East, just trying to, carry out whatever mission, flared up, depending on whatever the crisis of the month was.
Mm-hmm. That was your first time in that region?
Yeah.
Hotter, colder, both than you expected?
I've seen 129 degrees on the thermometer, but then you factor in that my helicopters are parked on about a square mile of black asphalt. And so now your ambient air temperature is another 10 degrees, so 140. And then the helicopter's been baking in the sun all day, so you get that greenhouse effect. So it was about 155 degrees ambient air temperature inside the cockpit before we would turn the aircraft on and get some of the cooling systems working.
Good Lord. Wow. If you can't tell, I'm interested in your military career, but our guest is Gabe Evans, running for Colorado House District 48, the website evans48.com. Just one more question on the portion of your life that you served our great country. When was the last time you flew? And do you miss it? Because it sounds like you're not in the reserves anymore. So is your Black Hawk career over?
Yeah, so my last flight was September of 2017. I miss it every day. But like I alluded to earlier, National Guard aviation actually has a higher op tempo. We're busier than active duty
That's
is.
crazy.
And I know that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there is no such thing as a mediocre helicopter pilot. They all crash and explode. So there's a minimum baseline that the Army says you will fly, and that applies across active duty and National Guard. But once we're done flying the active duty requirements, then we turn around, like I said, and we have to do all of the state missions. So doing search and rescues and, fighting wildfires or responding to the floods up in Lyons in 2013. Mm-hmm. So very, very busy. The Colorado Guard, actually, we compete with California for the title of busiest National Guard aviation organization in the nation.
Wow. Do you find that over campaigning and I don't know, when you get elected, I want to remain positive for you, that you will take some of the things that you learned in the Army and the Colorado Army National Guard to the way you approach things? And I probably don't need to tell you this, that the military operates one way, politics and state government certainly operate in another.
Absolutely. And like I said, I've actually been fortunate to see where those two intersect, because when the governor activates us to go fight a fire, and then I get appointed to be the Aviation Task Force Commander, now I'm working directly with the State Emergency Operations Center and county and local government emergency operations centers. So that's been very, very enlightening just to understand how you have to, translate your language and how you have to present ideas differently in order to get buy-in from perhaps different audiences. And so that's something that I'm looking forward to doing. And one of probably the best tool that Army Aviation gave to me is what we call crew resource management. It basically says that the helicopter works fine. When pilots crash, when airplanes crash, even in combat, 80% of the time, that's due to human error. And so crew resource management is a science that's been around for the last half a century that looks at how can we mitigate human error in what they call high risk, high reliability fields. And it basically boils down to communication. You have to have effective communication in order to be able to get your message across. And whether that message is how to safely operate a helicopter when you're trying to do a high altitude rescue in Long's Peak, or whether you're trying to communicate with somebody down at the state capitol to work toward a piece of policy, communication is actually a massive portion of safely and effectively operating a helicopter. And that's a skill that I'm looking forward to taking into the political career.
Final question, and I'll give you certainly the last word to let everybody know about why you want this position in state government. But, there is kind of a standard that, say, people like you running for office would say, and they would say something along the lines of, yeah, I'm more than willing to reach my hand across the aisle and work with the other side. It seems like, though, that is getting harder and harder, at least in my opinion, to do when some of the issues that maybe normally would reach across the aisle, that you can't based on maybe your beliefs or whatever you're bringing into this potential office. Where does that fall into how you will operate as a House representative for Colorado? Because a lot of times you just can't, because you've got to stand firm on what you believe.
Yeah, so absolutely. It's a great question, and one I've been asked before. And so there's kind of two parts to the answer. The first part is, as a police officer, as a commander in the Army, I've developed the ability to collaborate with anybody while at the same time never compromising my beliefs. Like we talked about when I was going through flight school. I know who I am, I know where I stand, and that's been paid for over 22 years of sweat, blood, and tears. So I can talk to anybody, but I'm not going to compromise my beliefs. And that leads to the second, issue that we're facing here in the state of Colorado, which is that we have a governor who's got close to $300 million, and he likes to get his way. And so even as you're trying to collaborate, perhaps with maybe a more moderate member, across the aisle down at the state capitol, looming over all of their heads is the perennial threat of, if you don't toe the party line, even if your own personal beliefs maybe dictate you vote a certain way, you will do what I say, because I got millions of dollars to spend on a primary opponent to oust you and get somebody that's actually going to fall in line with what the governor says. So, we have to just be able to win races across the state of Colorado, because a lot of the folks down at the Capitol, just aren't willing, to compromise and actually, as we talked about earlier, listen to what's going on in their communities and listen to what the people need, which is relief from crime, spiking cost of living, and the fact that 60% of our kids can't read at grade level and 70% of the kids can't do math at grade level.
Brother, I think you're an excellent candidate. I wish you the best of luck. I know when we met a couple of weeks ago, you brought up the book, The Blueprint, how the Democrats won Colorado and why Republicans everywhere should care. You've read it, you know it, and I think you're probably better armed than others, so to speak, to take this seat and to win it. I thank you for your time. We just got a text coming in. What rank did you achieve before you got out?
I was a captain. My last officer evaluation report from my bird colonel, 06 for the military folks out there. My last officer evaluation report said, promote this guy to major immediately, below the zone promotion. And, God bless her for sticking with me. She served as much as I did. My wife looked at that and said, I never see you as a captain. There's no possible way I'll ever see you as a major, and you got 2 little kids, so you're going to have to do some serious thinking. And at the time, I was also employed as a police officer, working 80 hours a week. So unfortunately, that's when I kind of had to take my bows from the military.
Hey,
but
you did it.
I still talk to those guys.
Yep.
And I miss them every day.
You did it. You sacrificed, your wife and family sacrificed, and you wore the uniform. Listen, I appreciate on a day where we're talking about, the main issue of the Supreme Court leak, et cetera, that you'd still come on with us. And I'm glad we have the time, and look forward to, keeping in touch with you. Please do keep in touch with me, and evans48.com is his website. Thank you again for your service and your time, and best of luck. I don't think you'll need a lot of luck, though. Go kill it.
Well, I appreciate it, Steffan. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I really enjoyed our time together, and I look forward to hopefully coming back in studio sometime.
Absolutely. Gabe Evans, great young man. And I say young because he's a lot younger than me. We need people like that. I really liked his answer because a lot of you feel the same way. Yeah, we've done enough of the Mr. Nice Guy, haven't we? Speaking of, let's go to the break with, I don't know. How about an old Joe Biden from this one, circa 2006, and we'll get news on the other side. Stay with us, 710 KNUS.
I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy, and I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions, and there ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that.
New crash in the drive. It's a wreck and a fuel spill along I-76 eastbound. 76 is near 270 on the shoulders there. It's causing a backup, slow back toward Pecos, and nearly a 10-minute backup on eastbound 76. Drive in from Lakewood, real slow eastbound 6th Avenue, passing Federal, jammed onto I-25. There's also a wreck eastbound 6th Avenue before Calumet, adding to those delays. Crash off highway causing a backup is northbound Federal up near 84th Avenue, wreck 104th and Huron. I'm Susan Field.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. Dan Abrams and Ashley Banfield are now back-to-back on News Nation. Get the news without the bias. Weeknights starting at 7 Mountain on America's fastest-growing cable news network. News Nation.
Are you ready? Get ready. News Talk 710 KNUS presents the Colorado Republican Rumble. A day of debates featuring statewide Republican candidates for Secretary of State, Governor, U.S. Senate, Saturday, May 21st at the Grizzly Rose, starting at high noon, featuring News Talk 710's own George Brockler helping moderate the event. Watch it in person or stream it live. Complete details at 710knus.com. The Colorado Republican Rumble is presented by the Republican Women of Weld in partnership with the Adams County Republican Women and News Talk 710 KNUS.
You know, it's been said, the greatest single virtue of a strong legislature is not what it can do, but what it can prevent. So listen carefully, Colorado. Our legislators are being pushed hard by special interests to do the unthinkable. Pass House Bill 1233, giving eye surgery privilege to optometrists who are not medical doctors or trained surgeons, but may then be able to perform eye surgery after simply taking a 32-hour training session. But Colorado's registered voters want to prevent this dangerous change. 87% think only ophthalmologists who have at least 8 years of medical and surgical training should do eye surgery. But 96% have not heard anything about this bill from their legislators. So please, don't wait any longer. Tell your legislators only surgeons should perform eye surgery.
Paid for by Colorado Society of Eye Physicians and Surgeons.
Thinking about life insurance? What if you could make one free phone call and learn your best price from nearly a dozen highly rated, price-competitive companies? Well, that's exactly what happens when you call SelectQuote Life. For example, George is 40. He was getting sky-high quotes from other companies because he takes meds to control his blood pressure. But when I shopped around, I found him a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $25 a month. I'm SelectQuote agent Dan Savino. And believe me, if SelectQuote isn't shopping for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For a free quote, call 800-523-3771. That's 800-523-3771. 800-523-3771. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Or price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
When you take the time to really get to know your body, you find that the root causes of its aches and pains are usually simple. The older we get, the more exercise we undertake, and the more injuries we sustain, the more inflammation our bodies suffer from. It's so simple. And my answer to that pain is Relief Factor, which I discovered years ago and take every single day to great effect. It helps the body to fight off inflammation, and I've never found anything that worked better in my life. I can't recommend it enough. 70% of the more than 500,000 people who have tried Relief Factor end up ordering more. That's because it works for them the way it works for me. Isn't it time for you to get out of pain? Your first step to becoming pain-free should be to order the 3-week quick start for the discounted price of only $19.95. Go to relieffactor.com or call 800-4RELIEF to find out more about this offer. Feel the difference. relieffactor.com.
Let the protests begin. More in our next update right here on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Woman Lauren Boebert joins us talking about the leak and Roe versus Wade. We've got an extended amount of time with her. Should have about 20 minutes. So stay tuned for that coming up. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, tell your friends. Welcome to those of you listening online as well, live streaming audio via the app or the website. Earlier today, before flying to Alabama, Joe Biden, just about ready to get on Air Force One, his comments.
You know, if this decision holds, it's really a radical decision. And again, the underlying premise, and again, I've not had a chance to thoroughly go into the report, the decision. But it basically says all the decisions related to your private life, who you marry, whether or not you decide to conceive a child or not, whether or not you can have an abortion, a range of other decisions, whether or not how you raise your child. What does this do? And does this mean that in Florida they can decide they're going to pass a law saying that same-sex marriage is not permissible? It's against the law in Florida. And so there's a whole, it's a fundamental shift in American jurisprudence.
Do you see who's starting it? Do you see? None other than the commander-in-chief. None other than the president of the United States. Well, what's next? Are they going to ban same-sex marriage in Florida? Are they going to ask you for a blood sample before you come into, say, Florida or Oklahoma? Prove you're not gay. Here is fact. This is, to me, one of the biggest Supreme Court stories to come out in a very long time. And I'm not taking away any of the past rulings in your lifetime, in mine. I realize that many rulings have very big consequences when you're dealing with the Supreme Court of the United States. But let it sink in for a little bit if it hasn't already. And I mentioned this last hour. Maybe this is just me being naive once again. But if there is one institution that would never see a leak like this, even if this was, we had a call last hour, I thought it was a terrific point. Maybe this just is, and I don't know, maybe this just is, they do this all the time. Give us the far, far crazy of your opinion and write it down. I don't know. But if there was one institution in this country that was still, at least when it comes to decorum and the right thing versus the wrong thing, and i.e. no leaks. I mean, for God's sake, friends, they don't even televise Supreme Court proceedings. If that isn't old school in 2022, I don't know what is. This is big, as you know. And if you, by chance, are just tuning in this hour. First, thank you to Gabe Evans. Hope you enjoyed that. He's really, really good guy. I met him a couple of weeks ago, like I said, at a veterans breakfast and enjoyed having him on. He was going to be with us here in studio, lives up north, obviously, and with the Supreme Court stuff. Wanted to save him some time as well as some gas money as well. But if you are just clicking on, maybe you haven't heard me say, I wish I could say I didn't feel this way, but this has all of the makings of a strategic left ploy. Things ain't going too well. We're kind of scared. They won't tell you this, but they're kind of concerned about the midterms. Will there be this so-called red wave, et cetera? Of course, it's most likely going to circumvent Colorado, but will there be this red wave? So what better time to stoke the fire of somebody, I don't know, an independent, somebody who may be fed up with what, say, they're paying at Costco or gas prices, inflation. They've seen their retirement accounts go down, certainly this year. Maybe it's time for a good old-fashioned controversy with, I don't know, one of the biggest issues of controversy in the history of the United States. Well, last night on Hannity, this guy, he sure thinks it's a ploy.
Do I think there's a motivation behind it? Yes. I think it's political motivation. I think this is the type of draft to get the left fired up, to change the current narrative, to focus on women and say, look what's going to happen. So I think there's a political motivation, not a court packing, but to change the disastrous liberal agenda completely. I also don't rule out the fact that somebody in the higher up allowed this to happen. They got in, we want to believe that the Supreme Court is the last bastion of integrity. They're political animals, especially on the left. And so I don't rule it out that that leak occurred with the blessing of someone. I'm not going to guess who, but I think there's the blessing of someone because the Supreme Court, like it or not, is a political branch of government. And this is a unfortunate situation.
I certainly can't disagree with that. Can you? Leo Terrell, a Fox News contributor. It's gross. It's gross. 303-696-1971. When we come back, we'll see if we can squeeze a couple of more phone calls in ahead of Congresswoman Lauren Boebert at the top of the hour, and we'll try to get to read you some of the texts that your fellow listeners have been sending in. Our friends at Step Denver truly are our friends. I love Paul and Vincent and all of the terrific men and women who operate Step. And maybe you, like me, you're tired of watching the government simply freaking enable the drug addicted and the homeless. If you're wondering, what can I do? Well, here's one thing you can do. Donate your vehicle to Step Denver. It'll give men the opportunity for a safe, sober, structured place to call home as they work hard to recover and rebuild. At Step, as we've been telling you for years and years, they do not take government funding. They count on people like us. Think of it this way. For every one vehicle donated, it gives one man the opportunity to have that safe, structured place to call home as they do the hard work to rebuild their lives. And of course, at Step, they maximize the amount of every vehicle donated to best serve the men there and provide you with the greatest tax deduction. So if you've got a car, a truck, a motorcycle, RV, instead of trading it in or who knows what you want to do with it, you can and will have a direct impact on the drug and homelessness problem right here in Colorado. Call Vincent, get a free tow. They'll do it anywhere in the, as they say, lower 48. It is truly a hassle-free experience. 303-296-9020, 303-296-9020, or stepdenver.org. That is stepdenver.org. Yo.
and KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
This is Ed Morrissey of HotAir.com for Town Hall. Do religious groups have the same right to speak in the public square as other secular organizations? The Supreme Court ruled unanimously this week that they do. Boston offers a flagpole for groups to use for ceremonial purposes as a demonstration of the city's diversity without endorsement of any of the messaging. When it came to a Christian group, however, Boston suddenly decided that allowing them access would violate the Establishment Clause. The Christian flag was the only application the city rejected. Justice Breyer's opinion rebukes Boston for viewpoint discrimination, but misses the forest for the trees. Concurrences from Justices Kavanaugh, Alito, Gorsuch, and Thomas rebuke the majority for extending ambiguity around both the definition of private speech as well as the reach of the Establishment Clause. The court needs to resolve these issues. This decision is a start. The upcoming ruling on Coach Joseph Kennedy, the praying football coach, needs to finish the job. I'm Ed Morrissey.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000, and a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by The Garage in Inglewood and Parker, home of the KNUS $99 oil change. News Talk 710, KNUS.
If there was a man that was as vocal today on the Roe v. Wade Supreme Court leak, I'd play him. But I haven't yet. Now, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of idiots, and they're male. But this just about takes the cake of, well, at least the vocal protests outside the Supreme Court earlier today. This we present from the state of Massachusetts. Well, Donald Trump called her Pocahontas.
To work 3 jobs to be able to support the children they have. Well, I am here because I am angry, and I am here because the United States Congress can change all of this. Yes, angry but committed. Understand this. I have seen the world where abortion is illegal. And we are not going back. Not ever. No. So say it with me. We are not going back. We are not going back. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever. Not ever.
Go, Liz, go.
I call bullcrap.
That voice will be with us coming up within the next 15 minutes. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. Want to get to a couple of texts before we say sayonara to our number 2. Somebody just, Mrs. McTexter, you're funny. I just happened to look up at our wall of love. My ears make it stop. That is so freaking true. Here's an interesting text from Mr. and Mrs. Texter. Thank you. I hope this leak is true because it's our last chance at peacefully, at least to the extent it can be, to split the country. The red areas will get redder. The blue areas will get bluer. The best part is the blue areas will completely collapse in a short period of time. If this fails, all-out war against these communists is the only option left. They hate us and we hate them. We can no longer coexist, and there is no longer a chance of reconciliation. Well, that's a happy thought. Thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Texter. This one, maybe it was Putin, the leaker. I did respond, well, maybe it was Zelensky. Here's one. I'm guessing the leak was planned. There is no decency or decorum left in politics. Minions looking for 15 minutes of fame. Dave writes in, I think they think the jab is to protect other people, but abortion only affects the woman. The unborn has no say in their world. Another text, this leak was strategically planned. I wouldn't be surprised if Roberts had a hand in it. Also, Warren sounds like she's trying to do an impression of Katharine Hepburn. That is pretty funny. From our friend Steve, I'm standing by to see which happens first. Michael Brown hands up, don't shoot riots, or the Supremes bending to the will of the mobocracy. Thank you, Steve. How about this one? Remember when they started making, oh, sorry, that was an old one. What if it's Breyer, Supreme Court Justice Breyer, who leaked this? This text says, I mean, he's on his way out. What does he have to lose at this point? Robert writes in, Politico should be held accountable besides the leaker. They did not have to publish that so they could get the scoop. They knew it would start a firestorm in this country, and it did. Robert, as I texted back to him, with all due respect, I completely disagree. Even if Politico is way to the left, down the middle, or way to the right. It is not the responsibility of a journalistic outlet to protect all of us. If you need an example, see New York Times and the Pentagon Papers from the 1970s. Thank you, though, for those great texts. We will try to get a few more on before we wrap up at 7 o'clock. Lauren Boebert coming up as mentioned. First, though, well, my friends at the Town Group, don't turn credit cards, to pay for necessities as prices rise, or I guess say turn to those credit cards. Paying off your debt now is more important than ever. If you are a homeowner, you need cash, call my friends at the Town Group. They are saving me. Thankfully, I didn't procrastinate anymore. I'm saving $401 per month because I refied late last year. If you're a business owner with large write-offs or self-employed, no W-2s, give Melissa, who I worked with personally, you'll love her. Town Group specializes in jumbo loans. And they specialize in those jumbo loans for the self-employed. Silver lining is, with the skyrocketing home values, you may now have the opportunity to unlock the equity you've built up in your home. Maybe you weren't able to access that before. If others have said no, give Melissa 5 minutes to hear your story with that equity. She can probably get you into the loan. Get with the Town Group, 833-MY-JUMBO. That's 833-MY-JUMBO, or towngroupmortgage.com. 56 degrees in downtown Denver. Good evening, Colorado. It is Tuesday, the 3rd of May. Tomorrow, May the 4th be with you. 3 minutes after 5 o'clock, Matt, we got to go big on the Star Wars sounds like we always do every May 4th. I'm Steffan Tubbs. Matt Steinkruger is our producer. Roger Criddlebaugh in the newsroom. Coming up in mere moments, Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. It has been one freaking day, hasn't it? This, before we get to the Congresswoman, a compilation of the most recent to be confirmed, Amy Coney Barrett, and of course, Brett Kavanaugh and Neil Gorsuch, when they were asked during their confirmation hearings, Roe v. Wade, thoughts?
Is Roe a super precedent?
How would you define super precedent? And I'm answering a lot of questions about Roe, which I think indicates that Roe doesn't fall in that category. And scholars across the spectrum say that doesn't mean that Roe should be overruled. But descriptively, it does mean that it's not a case that everyone has accepted and doesn't call for its overruling.
As a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Been reaffirmed many times. Casey is precedent on precedent, which itself is an important factor.
Senator, as the book explains, the Supreme Court of the United States has held in Roe versus Wade that a fetus is not a person for purposes of the 14th Amendment. And the book explains that.
Do you accept that?
That's the law of the land. I accept the law of the land, Senator. Yes.
Outside of the Supreme Court, you can imagine the frenzy. You can imagine what's been going on in the Beltway and literally across the country since we learned about the leak.
Because if Roe v. Wade is overturned, we have to assume there's more to come.
They are scared. They are frightened. Who better to talk about it with right now than Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, our friend of the program. Holy cow, friend, what a time for you to be in Congress. You've been talking about it via social media, et cetera. Thank you so much for the time on a very busy day.
Absolutely, Steffan. You know, this is such an important topic right now to discuss. So I'm honored to be here, to be in this fight, to be a voice for the voiceless, and to talk about it with you and your listeners so they can really grasp what's actually happening with SCOTUS and even Congress's role in this.
Yeah, we heard and we've been talking about it. The Democrats, they went on the steps of Capitol Hill. The Republicans, Chuck Schumer, probably didn't get a chance to hear live because I think it was kind of concurrent. But Mitch McConnell's talking about it. This does nothing, obviously, to unite this country, but it's also a two-parter, I think, Lauren, and that is you've got an issue of a leak from the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the issue. Can I start with, if you don't mind, maybe the not the obvious one? Let's talk about the leak. Do you have concerns? Yeah. I sure do.
I absolutely do. This is unprecedented to have a major leak like this come from our Supreme Court. And who is behind this? Right. Is this some radical leftist who is in there and supporting one of these leftist judges? I mean, I don't know. But what is the cause of it? I don't think it was a cause to celebrate. I think it was more of a cause to get Americans outraged because the left is losing on every policy that they are putting forward when it comes to inflation, when it comes to our supply chains, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to our children in school, the invasion at our southern border, the horrible withdrawal, this complete surrender to the Taliban in Afghanistan. They are losing on every issue, our energy crisis. And so was this leaked to create outrage amongst Americans and more division? We hear so much from the left, their talking points, they want to unite the country. I have not seen any such effort to unite the country. But I will tell you this, Steffan, life always wins.
Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, kind enough to give us time on a very big, listen, I wish I could say, Congresswoman, with all due respect, you're a friend of the program, but I think you're crazy. No way, no how. I have thought about this for hours today, and It would not surprise me in the least. They see that perhaps, except here in Colorado, where the Republican Party seemingly can screw up anything, but they see that there's a red wave coming nationally. What better way? And I wish, I'm not a conspiracy guy. I wish I could say something different, but I agree with you. To me, this is strategic.
Absolutely. This is to cause outrage and to drive Democrats to the poll because they do not have a winning issue to get their party out to vote. They don't have a president at the top of the ticket. And even if it were Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, I don't think that they would be eager to go out and vote for him after this disastrous first year in office that he has had. And so this is a mechanism. It is by design to get people out to the polls, to get this conversation shifted and try to paint Republicans as evil because we want babies to live. I mean, this is coming in the era where Apple just put out an emoji to celebrate pregnant men. And now the same people who did that are outraged that women will be pregnant. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And this is one of the frustrations that I have in the halls of Congress is you cannot even debate reality with the left because they literally will change the definition of words and meanings and use it however they want in their narrative, or say that men are women and women are men and men can get pregnant. This is absolutely absurd. Or you just need to be a biologist to know any of it. And this is where we are at right now in America and American politics. And I think President Reagan really said it best. He said, the most dangerous words in the American language are, I'm from the federal government and I'm here to help. These politicians are corrupt and they are destroying our foundation in our country. They are literally destroying lives. And it's all by design, unfortunately. All I see is death and destruction. I don't see anything that is uplifting and positive, trying to get our country back on the right track, or even standing for life.
Congresswoman Lauren Boebert joining us, and we're, of course, talking about it with you as well. We'll get phone calls later on in the hour. Look, I could not agree with you more about the non-unification from a presidential ticket that said that's what they were going to do, and they haven't. But listen to this now. This, you could say, and I'm not going to have you, if you want to, but this is coming up the sound, will be Senator Elizabeth Warren. I'm not playing this so you can rip on her. You can do whatever you want in reaction. But I bring this up and play this because this was literally this morning, and you could have had this in the mid 70s, before you were born. You could have had this in the 80s, the 90s, etc. Listen to the rhetoric again.
To work 3 jobs to be able to support the children they have. Well, I am here because I am angry, and I am here because the United States Congress can change all of this. Yes.
Oh, fire and brimstone. Let's get out the pitchforks and the that was outside of the Supreme Court. And it's just, it seems so scripted to me.
Right. Well, Steffan, moms have to work 3 jobs to support their children because inflation is continuing to skyrocket, because moms were forced out of their jobs when small businesses had to be closed, because frontline workers were fired because they refused to take an unconstitutional medical mandate seriously. And they had to choose between feeding their children or keeping their jobs. And so it's not just because you have a child that you work 3 jobs. Look, we all buckle down when times get tough, and we get tougher. I have 4 children. I have had life growing on the inside of me. I know the preciousness of this, of life and of children. And it is so disgusting to me that the left wants full-term abortion. They want post-term abortion, where a mother can later decide after delivery that she doesn't want to go through with this. I mean, this is what's happening right now. And it's so heartbreaking. I want to tell you a story, Steffan, if we have just a minute.
Sure.
There's a congressman that I work with who's actually, this was last year in Congress, Jody Heiss from Georgia, and he's going to run for Secretary of State in Georgia. And we had a bill come to Congress in response to Texas's heartbeat bill. Texas passed a heartbeat bill that's currently saving thousands of lives right now. And Congress's response was to pass a national law that allows full-term abortions. Congressman Jody Heiss got on the House floor on his knees and out loud began to pray to God. And he was interceding on behalf of those children, standing in the gap for those babies and praying that there would be one Democrat that would choose life that day. Well, on that day, no Democrat chose life. They all chose to support this full-term abortion bill. And I went to Jody and I said, Jody, your prayers were not in vain. The word of God is powerful and it always accomplishes what it is sent to do. And I believe that you will receive a harvest from those prayers. Well, in February, we saw that vote go to the Senate, that bill go to the Senate for its final vote. And one Democrat voted against it. And that bill was killed rather than millions of babies. And so that is how Congress has a role in this. We are there on the front lines, standing for life in whichever way that means. I don't think that we're one piece of legislation away from changing this nation. I believe that we as a nation need to repent and turn back to God and ask him to heal our land. And he will. He's faithful to do that. But this is what's going on in Washington, D.C. There are men and women who are interceding and standing in the gap, standing for life each and every day.
Let me ask you, and thank you for sharing that story. Let me ask you how, from you being a Coloradan, but part of the Colorado delegation to D.C., obviously, how did you most recently look at what Colorado did and Governor Jared Polis sign when it comes to abortion here? It's almost like, it's going to be a safe haven state. Of course, 26 states are most likely to ban abortion if Roe is overturned. But how did you look at it from your position in Congress to what was done here in Colorado?
So when I saw what the legislation that had passed in Colorado and signed by our governor, it was obviously devastating because I stand for the voiceless. I have a 0% rating with Planned Parenthood because my belief is they can go fund themselves. But I really feel that they were trying to solidify practices that were already taking place in Colorado to get ahead of any Supreme Court decision that would be made this year and the possibility of Roe versus Wade being overturned. And that's exactly what we're seeing now. They got ahead of it. So Colorado is now this safe haven for full-term abortions. And it is so sad and devastating, but we are going to continue to press. This is why we need to show up to the polls. Republicans need to show up to the polls. Unaffiliated voters who care for life need to show up and realize that elections have consequences. And sometimes life is that consequence. So we need good people who will take a stand and be principled with a backbone in the state legislature. So many people overlook these local races and state races and look to the national ones. But this really is where that decision is made. I'm a big proponent of federalism, and I hate to see it abused in this way. I love to see so many things that Governor Abbott has done to protect life, and even what we're seeing in Florida with Governor DeSantis, a governor in a state legislature that would really do something so cruel and evil to allow full-term abortion when we know that that is a child. It is not a clump of cells. At 6 weeks, the child has a heartbeat. At 10 weeks, the child has arms and legs and fingers and toes. And about 7 weeks along, they begin to develop pain receptors. Steffan, as a mother of 4 boys, I have shown 3 of my 4 boys abortion videos. I have shown them what this means. So they will never be lied to. They will never be deceived and say that this doesn't matter. It's an act without consequences. I want them to know that that is life and life is to be valued. So as a mother, I felt that it was my responsibility to show them exactly what abortion means. And unfortunately, we have a curriculum in our Colorado public schools, comprehensive sex ed, that says abortion is a form of birth control. It's absolutely absurd. And so I'm just so proud of the Supreme Court. I hope that this is exactly what comes out. The report that we heard, the decision that we all read that was unfortunately leaked. But I hope that the Supreme Court justices do not back down and that people are holding them up in prayer each and every day because they are under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, for sure. Let me ask you just a couple more questions. Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, on this such an important time right now with the leak and with this issue, Roe v. Wade. Let me ask, in I don't know if it's in your past, people that you've talked with more recently, have you ever had those conversations with, say, women who thought about getting an abortion and they made the decision not to, and maybe, and it could come down to, and here's the, bundle of joy, and there's my son or daughter, I'm so glad I didn't. Does that come up in what you do?
Well, actually, it's always come up. It's interesting. I mean, of course, you have girlfriends throughout high school and then coming out of high school who become with child, they become pregnant. And, sometimes it's not even, should I get an abortion? It's, well, maybe if I miscarried, that wouldn't be the worst thing. And that thought crosses a woman's mind. And maybe I didn't do it. This was natural. But then they have that child and they can't even imagine their life without him or her. And I've had waitresses who have come to me and crying, saying, I'm pregnant. And I was able to console them and say, life is always a good thing. This isn't something to be sad about. This is a really good thing. God is the giver of life. And one woman in particular, she stayed with me for many years, and she ended up going forward with her pregnancy. And she is the greatest mom I have ever seen. So many people around her had doubts because she was kind of a wild child. And, it's so amazing to see how much that baby even changed her for the better. And, Steffan, I actually ministered in the Garfield County Jail for several years, about 7 years I was there.
Wow.
And I would go in there week after week. And this came up often there too. And we were able to talk about what's actually happening on the inside of them. I've experienced a miscarriage myself. And so I know what it's like to have life inside of you. And I know what it's like to lose that life on the inside of you. And that's a very real struggle. And to be able to have these conversations with women and then see them go forward and have their children and their lives be better for it, it's just incredible. And, to the women who have been deceived into making this decision, who were lied to and told that their child was something that it wasn't, there is so much mercy there. And I pray for those women, and I have such compassion for them. And I've seen the regret. I've seen the tears from women who have made that decision. And I want women to know that that's okay, that we can move forward and teach other people what's really going on.
Couple more questions, I promise, and then we'll let you go because I know you got to run. But and this is tough because you and I have talked many times about the pressing issues. The border is so sickening how it's being handled or not handled. You've been down in the area. We've talked about that a lot. I know that's huge for so many people and many other, what happened during COVID and the pandemic. But I got to ask you, do you think this is, maybe when all is said and done, this is right now maybe one of the biggest, if not the biggest issue that you have been in DC to witness?
This is certainly a massive issue that we are dealing with, a massive celebration, and we're coming up on a very massive fight because unfortunately we've seen time after time when the left doesn't get their way, they result to violence. And, so we don't know what's in front of us, what kind of outrage we're going to see from the left. But we're here for it each and every day. And, isn't it interesting that the American people were punished for almost 3 years and told, if you just put on a mask, you'll save one life and that'll be worth it. Well, can we apply that to some degree here to this Roe v. Wade decision to be overturned? Isn't it worth it if we save just one life? Well, hundreds of thousands and millions of lives will be saved for this. Even states who have pro-life legislation held up in litigation, with this overturned, it automatically makes it law. And immediately that legislation begins to save lives in those states.
Right. And finally, in your humble opinion, will this, in the end, will we see the overturning of Roe v. Wade from 49 years ago?
I am so, I'm so pressing into this in prayer with my friends and our communication and really getting that message out to so many people around the nation and communicating to them the value of this. I hope to God, Steffan, that we overturn Roe versus Wade.
Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, always appreciate her time, and we'll get a news update right now. Clear Lines, you want to weigh in? Maybe you've had this on your mind. You want to react to the Congresswoman? 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971. You're welcome to call in if you maybe earlier tried and you had a busy signal. The lines are open. One of those lines has your name on it. You can also text us to the studio via the free to download app. I also want to, before we take a break, just point out, and I think I'm going to spare myself first and foremost, but I'll spare you as well. We have had Congresswoman Lauren Boebert on many, many times. I believe back when she was running for Colorado's 3rd Congressional District. And many times early on, we would kind of talk about, how do you deal with the hate? How do you deal with, those that they've made memes. They do just the typical stuff that the left does. I'm not going to read any of these, but if, and this is a heavy if you are on Twitter, for example, I hope you follow us at Tub Show, TUBBS Show. Check out from, I don't know, maybe a couple, 3 hours ago, I had posted, announcing that the Congresswoman was coming up with us. At last check, there were nearly 120 or more comments to the posting simply stating that Lauren Boebert was going to be on with us at 5:05 Mountain Time. The only reason I bring this up is, you think it's easy to stand your ground in D.C.? You think it's easy today to be a conservative with lunatics on social media? Just take a little glance at some of the despicable hate right now that is on a tweet that we put out just because that's what we do. And until they start to charge us, I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times, as long as Facebook and Twitter let us free promote this program, I'm going to do it, by God. And I realize something like what? I don't even know how many people are on Twitter. Not a lot compared to the population of the United States. But those who are, see the trash, see the pollution, see the sickening, see the ugly, of course, if you choose. And then you may just have an appreciation for what someone like Lauren Boebert goes through. Now, being fair, of course, it goes both ways. I think it's worse from those people on the left, but just sick. Like, there was one guy, and I did respond to one. I used to respect Steffan when he was at KOA. He must be desperate for guests. No. Well, first, thank you. Second, no, I'm not desperate. You see, sir, there are other people out there besides you and your political views and the way you see the world. It has nothing to do with desperation. And I just wonder, I mean, somebody like that, trust me, I'm not butthurt. I don't frankly care, save for, I feel sorry for like a guy like that would take time, and he even spelled my name right, that would respect me over there, but not here. I feel sorry for people. What I'm trying to say is I feel sorry for people that don't know we're on this station or haven't listened enough to know that, look, I feel a certain way politically. I feel a certain way with a lot of freaking issues, but I'm fair. Look, right now, if Diana DeGette, paging Diana DeGette, if Diana DeGette wanted to come on this radio program and comment and give her opinion, you may not like it. Hell, you may tune out, but I'd have her on. Anyhow, thank you. 303-696-1971. If you are perhaps finally, after 2+ years of lockdowns and uncertainty, by goodness gracious, you are going to take a vacation this year, whether it's a solo trip, you and the significant other, or the entire family, isn't it time to stop thinking about what you could have done 2 years ago? And maybe, yes, COVID screwed up your vacation plans. We'll start to travel and people are. Get with my trusted team and friends at Highlands Ranch Travel for more than 15 years. I have trusted them with incredibly important business trips as well as vacations. If you've ever had a canceled flight or a nightmare with a hotel or cruise, just when you thought you were going to get some R&R, the booking process is important. Yes, I've done it. Yes, you can go online and you can do it all yourself, but I am old school, I guess. I like to talk with somebody, especially if it's a big vacation. Have you been here? Have you been there? I like to still look at brochures. Call me old fashioned. For every kind of traveler, Highlands Ranch Travel and their specialists can help you. They can build a one-of-a-kind experience, and then you bring home the best memories. Start with the team at Highlands Ranch Travel. You can do it online, give them a phone call. If you're traveling internationally, for example, coming up, you want to take that trip. They understand the requirements. You can count on 24-hour assistance when you're traveling. Marcy is the owner of this small Colorado business, and I love her like she's my family. She is terrific, and you're going to find a great experience at Highlands Ranch Travel. Online, it's HR for Highlands Ranch, TVL for travel, hrtvl.com. That's hrtvl.com, or 303-791-2311, 791-2311. And they'd love to meet you in person. Book your appointment with a travel specialist and forget about the last couple of years. Look for today into the future. They can get you anywhere, and you will have a great vacation ahead. Even if it's just to Phoenix. No offense to Phoenix, but if you want to take an African safari, they can help you as well. hrtvl.com.
Heavy traffic along I-76. That drive's getting better, though. Wreck on eastbound 76 near 270 cleared up. Traffic is slow back toward Pecos, but speeds are slowly starting to improve. Now there's a crash heading up out of the tech center, northbound 225 before Parker Road. Right lane is blocked off. You're running heavy I-25 to Parker, extra 5 minutes on the drive. Now try to get to the left side of the highway. That'll save you a little bit of time. 270 pretty busy. We got a lot of traffic on I-25 downtown and a crash Colfax at Knox Court. I'm Susan Phelan.
This report is sponsored by Discover.
Are you ready? Get ready. News Talk 710 KNUS presents the Colorado Republican Rumble. A day of debates featuring statewide Republican candidates for Secretary of State, Governor, U.S. Senate, Saturday, May 21st at the Grizzly Rose, starting at high noon, featuring News Talk 710's own George Brockler helping moderate the event. Watch it in person or stream it live. Complete details at 710knus.com. The Colorado Republican Rumble is presented by the Republican Women of Weld in partnership with the Adams County Republican Women and News Talk 710. KNUS.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty.
In today's active real estate market, don't pay too much to sell your house. Colorado Flat Fee Realty is now offering a 2% option. If you were selling a $500,000 house, the agent typically charges you 6%. That's $30,000 for just a few days of work. Colorado Flat Fee Realty has a much better way. On that same $500,000 sale, you would save thousands with Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, why would you list your house with anyone else? Pay less, keep more. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Call 303-300-9660 to find out more. 303-300-9660 or visit ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option. Pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com.
Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Pay less, keep more, save thousands.
Joe O'Dea, an outsider, not a career politician. Joe O'Dea, a conservative running for U.S. Senate. Joe was adopted and raised by a Denver police officer. He became a union carpenter and started a construction company as a young man. That construction company employs hundreds of Coloradans today. Now Joe O'Dea is running for U.S. Senate to be a voice for working people, to attack inflation, cut the waste, fund our military, police, and America's infrastructure. Joe O'Dea is endorsed by Colorado's largest organization of police officers. Listen to what Joe has to say.
You know why Washington is so disconnected? It's run by too many people who have never had to work a hard day in their life. Yeah. So when people say, why are you running, Joe? I'm running to be a voice for the working people of this country. I am one of you, and I will fight for you.
Joe O'Dea, conservative, outsider, a voice for working Americans.
I'm Joe O'Day, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Joe O'Day for US Senate.
This is Dan Kaplis. Ben Franklin said that well done is better than well said. That applies directly to personal injury law. Actions speak louder than words. Talk is cheap. Results matter. At our firm, we've achieved truly historic results, which we'd be proud to share with you. We're a serious firm for serious cases. We take righteous cases on a percentage fee basis. If you need our help with a serious injury or, God forbid, wrongful death case, please give me a call, 303-770-5551, or hit dankaplislaw.com. That's dankaplislaw.com.
It's easy and profitable to be kind to others when you enter the Kindness Challenge. Each day for 30 days, we'll post a new act of kindness that you can do for others. On June 1st, you could win $5,000, and a deserving organization will also receive $5,000 in your name. You can make a difference in others' lives when you enter the Kindness Challenge.
The Kindness Challenge is brought to you in part by Littleton Jewelry, your home for custom jewelry, diamonds, and repairs.
Lauren Boebert? No, she's not everybody's cup of tea. Neither are you. I didn't mean that to be a slam. I mean, just neither am I. Very good texts coming in. Thank you. Like this one, Mr. and Mrs. Texter. Appreciate it. Lauren nailed the point. Women need this freedom, in quotes, to kill babies, but you don't have a choice on whether you get a vaccine in your body or not. Such hypocrites. And of course, I mean, I know what Mr. and Mrs. Texter means, but I mean, you do ultimately have a choice. But of course, as we've discussed for more than 2 years, you want to work here, huh? Well, show me your papers. Thank you for that. Just because I shouldn't feed the beast, but well, in part, this text reads, "Oh, and I'm in love with Lauren. She is a total babe." All right. This one, Lauren Boebert for governor. This text, how about men who wanted to get an abortion for their pregnant girlfriend? I called clinics in New York. We got married at 19. My daughter is now 50. We have 2 wonderful grandchildren. We've been married for 50 years. We were scared kids and made the right decision. Good for you and thank you. This text, this is what I think. The leak from the Supreme Court on Roe v. Wade sets a precedent. It's never been done. Given the current political atmosphere, where I feel like the Republicans are going to clean up in November, does this issue not get the Democrats to come out and vote Democrat as opposed to maybe voting Republican because they're sick of the way the country is going? This is to drive Democrats to keep voting. Mr. or Mrs. Texter. You, in my estimation, hit the bullseye there. This one, I believe that because abortion is a sacred cow on the left, that the Dems will overlook inflation and the border crisis, and this will blunt the red wave. Well, I hope that that is incorrect. I absolutely agree. And I'm not a conspiracy guy. I've said that a billion times. But let's just be logical. Come on, friends. Many of you in the radio club, you're with me. You've got your feet on the ground, your common sense. If things don't look right, they don't smell right, they don't sound right, well, maybe it's not right, or maybe there is something there. Wouldn't put it past the Democrats to do something like that. We've had texts come in. I mean, this is it. didn't Joe talk and run on unity? Yeah. Unity. What may be ahead concerns me. Can't say right now that it scares me. What are they going to do? Would you put it past them to possibly, and I'm not trying, please don't send any texts, you're giving them the idea. No, I'm a radio guy. I'm one dude. Wonder if there'll be any, I'm not going to give specifics. How about I just say in broad terms, will there be any incidents at, say, a Planned Parenthood clinic coming up in the near future? Are you following me on this? Will there be any incidents, crime, etc., at a location that performs abortions? And the crime or whatever could happen is a total plan, setup. Look at what the Republicans think of this. Nothing, friends, and I'm not a conspiracy guy, nothing would surprise me today. And I hate that. I hate that about the current climate in our great country. 303-696-1971. Paul in Denver joins us. Welcome. Good evening to you.
Hey, Steffan.
Hey, man.
First of all, those two texters who talked about this is going to fire up the Democrats, I completely agree with that.
Yep.
I was worried about that last night, but I just drove by the Capitol as I do on my way home every day, and there's quite a little protest going on down there.
Oh, I'm shocked, my brother. I'm shocked.
I know. I'm surprised as well.
What did you see?
Well, I saw a bunch of people that had no signs at all. I saw some guy had a sign that said pro-life for the whole life. Then I saw a girl that two women, I guess they were girls to me now. I'm older.
Yeah.
One had one that said women's rights are equal rights. Another one had a sign that said cat power, if you know what I mean.
Cat power.
Well,
oh, yes,
cat.
I do. Yeah, yes, I do. I got it.
I don't want to get you in trouble.
No, yeah, but I don't want to get you in trouble. Yes, I understand that. Do you think that to me, it's not even like, let's go kind of far out on the limb here. This to me in 2022, Paul, is absolutely possible, feasible, and I might even go out on that limb and say now likely that this is all by design. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. Could be a false flag. I hadn't thought about that. You mentioned it, but it absolutely could be. They haven't done anything else to fire up their base. This would do it.
Yep. And and look at it. Great call, brother. Thank you. And I always love Paul, and thank you for the call, Paul. I always love Paul because he, like he said, he drives past the Capitol every day. I don't remember, during, the height of Denver and decay and then the subsequent months and all of that. Well, he's our little correspondent down there in downtown Denver. So thank you, brother, for that. Again, 303-696-1971. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a break, and I think I'm going to take a break from Roe v. Wade / SCOTUS leak for the rest of the hour, because on the other side, I want to talk a little Ukraine. The president today went to Troy, Alabama, and the reason the president was there was because of the war in Ukraine. So we'll talk about that. We'll go to the break with... what do I want? Maybe a couple of sound bites just from earlier today, if you are just tuning in with us. And of course, we greatly appreciate you. And if you are just clicking on, you missed in our first segment about 20 minutes with Congresswoman Lauren Boebert. You can catch that later this evening, commercial-free podcasts at 710knus.com or via the app. Now is as good a time as any to talk about the Colorado Farm Bureau. Why? Because, oil and gas, farmers and ranchers, so much of, what makes Colorado great is, we, used to have a great Denver, and I don't know if it's too late. I think it probably is, but this state is so great. You've got, it looks like Switzerland in southwestern Colorado. Out on the eastern plains, you've got hardworking families that have had farming and ranching in the family tree for generations. Out on the western slope, the great stuff, the orchards out there, Palisade, and the hardworking men and women there in the mountains, of course. We have a great state. I hope we still have a great state down the road. But I want to tell you how, well, I think Colorado farmers and ranchers are enhanced by one group, and that is the Colorado Farm Bureau. I have been a proud member for years, and just late last month renewed my membership for the coming year. And, think about where your food comes from. There's a good chance, whether it's from the grocery store or something you eat out at a restaurant, that at least something probably that you're eating has a connection with Colorado farming and ranching. They help as well at the Capitol, as well as in the Beltway, to try to make sure that, things are protected for those farmers and ranchers. It is such an important part of the Colorado economy as well. Farming and ranching contributes billions of dollars to the economy every single year. Join me. You can help the Farm Bureau continue the legacy. I'm a member. You should be as well. This is not like an NPR pledge drive. Give us a call, and I'm telling you the phone number 480 times an hour. But seriously, you can designate the county that you live in, check them out, become a member like me, coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com. Because due to high demand or high requests on the Wall of Love, I will not play the screeching Elizabeth Warren, at least for the rest of this hour. Coming up on the other side of the break, more on the president's trip and dealing with Ukraine in the South. Let's see. Judge Alito, who apparently wrote this 94-page opinion. This is from his confirmation hearing long time ago.
Do you agree if a statute that restricts access to abortion, that it must protect the health of the mother in order for it to be constitutional?
Well, I think that the case law is very clear that protecting the life and the health of a mother is a compelling interest throughout pregnancy. I think that's very clear in the case law.
John Roberts said that Roe versus Wade is the settled law of the land. Do you believe it is the settled law of the land?
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. It was decided in 1973, so it's been on the books for a long time. It has been challenged on a number of occasions, and I discussed those yesterday. And and the Supreme Court has reaffirmed the decision, sometimes on the merits, sometimes in Casey, based on stare decisis. And I think that when a decision is challenged and it is reaffirmed, that strengthens its value.
Because if Roe v. Wade is overturned, we have to assume there's more to come. The question is, what will these Republicans, these right-wing Republicans, target next? Will they have the Supreme Court overturn Griswold so they can prevent American women from contraception? They may say, we wouldn't do that because of precedent. Why would anyone believe them anymore?
News Talk 710. Update.
Good evening. New York Governor Kathy Hochul calls the Supreme Court's decision to consider overturning Roe v. Wade deeply disturbing. Natalie Migliore has more.
Governor Kathy Hochul says she refuses to go backwards when it comes to the fight for women's reproductive rights.
My promise is that here in the state of New York, we will not stand idly by. Anyone who needs care, we welcome you with open arms.
Regardless of the ruling, abortion is protected under New York state law. The draft isn't set in stone and could be changed as it circulates the court. Meantime, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts is ordering an investigation into the draft opinion leaked to Politico.
The CDC recommends all travelers over the age of 2 continue to wear face masks. Dr. Rochelle Walensky said passengers and workers should wear a well-fitted mask or respirator while in indoor public transportation areas, including airports and train stations. Metro Denver Crime Stoppers increasing the cash reward for any information on the triple homicide at the Denver apartment complex that killed a 4-year-old. Police responded to a report of a shooting a week ago on North Dunkirk Street. Upon arrival, police discovered a man, woman, and young boy were all shot to death. Denver police commander believed all 3 victims were related. Ex-Denver Bronco cornerback Bryce Callahan has signed a 1-year deal with Steffan's Chargers. This update brought to you by Done Right. If you're going to do it right, or don't bother. Call Done Right for kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, and even replacement windows and doors. 800-362-8370 or drhi.com. Dow finished up today 67 points. I'm Roger Criddlebaugh.
New crash on the highway. This is the Long I-70, westbound 70 out near the Quebec-Monaco exit. Westbound 70 running heavy from Havana out to that crash. About 5 extra minutes for you to get through there. Northbound 225, leaving the tech center bunched up as you pass I-25. Heavy to Parker Road. Has been a crash working just before Parker Road. Sounds like all lanes have opened up there. Drive on 270, still crowded across Commerce City, as well as I-25, pretty jammed downtown. Northbound delays passing University. I'm Susan Thielen.
This report is sponsored by Discover. When it comes to your credit card, Discover believes in having real people available 24/7 to help answer your questions. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Mostly cloudy skies. There will be some showers and a few thunderstorms developing this evening as well as overnight. Wind shifting to the north, a low near 40. It'll be a cloudy, cool day Wednesday, low to mid-50s. Wednesday will bring occasional rain showers and a few thunderstorms to the area. Some of these showers and thunderstorms will be possible overnight Wednesday, a low near 40, 60s Thursday. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day on 710 KNUS.
The Town Group at United American Mortgage, NMLS number 1942, subject to credit approval. Some restrictions may apply.
You're a consummate professional at what you do, but as a business owner with large write-offs or self-employed with no W-2s, you just can't get a jumbo home loan. Well, don't allow yourself to be treated like that. Hi, Steffan Tubbs. Get with the Town Group. They specialize in jumbo loans for your first or next home, as well as refinancing. Don't let inflation and credit card debt eat away at your lifestyle. Now is the time to refinance with the Town Group, consolidate that high-interest revolving debt, or get needed cash. If other lenders have said no, give Melissa at the Town Group just 5 minutes to listen to your story. If you have the equity, which you likely do with rising home values, she can most likely get you into that loan. Or if you've got the income to buy, but say a limited down payment, call the Town Group before you get priced out of the market. I'm saving more than $4,800 a year on my Town Group refinance. You do the same. Call 833-MY-JUMBO. That's 833-MY-JUMBO. Or online, towngroupmortgage.com.
Hi, it's Peter Boyles. Come and celebrate Mother's Day at the Butchery in Arvada on Sunday, May the 8th from 2 p.m. till 9 p.m. Treat Mom. Incredible beef menus of bacon-wrapped filet mignon, garlic butter mushrooms, or Black River blue cheese and crusted fillets, and of course the Butchery's succulent prime rib. If Mom loves fresh seafood, get the cold water lobster tails, juicy jumbo sea scallops, or the savory bourbon barrel salmon. Make your Mother's Day reservation today by going to thebutcheryarvada.com. It's thebutcheryarvada.com.
Fact. Our bodies are under attack every day, whether it's COVID, vaccines, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and even the foods we eat. We're constantly trying to keep up with the Colorado weather, fighting off stress and inflammation. But there's a solution. C60 Complete. C60 Complete is a scientist-formulated, doctor-approved antioxidant supplement that helps you achieve a longer, healthier, and happier life. Do what I'm doing to improve my health and go to purebellavita.com. That's purebellavita.com to get your first month's supply today.
Hi, it's Steffan Tubbs. Make a plan and join us for the American Veterans Show. Every Sunday, we highlight incredible stories from around the country and here in Colorado. It is an honor to profile veterans, active duty, and military-related charities every single week. The American Veterans Show, part history lesson, always done with appreciation. Get a dose of patriotism. We hope you'll join us.
The American Veterans Show with Steffan Tubbs, Sundays at noon on News Talk 710 KNUS.
Since Russia invaded Ukraine just over 2 months ago, we have sent more than $3 billion in security assistance to Ukraine. Alone, us, not counting our allies. And that money is a direct investment in defending freedom and democracy itself. Because if you don't stand up to dictators, history has shown us they keep coming. They keep coming. Their appetite for power continues to grow. And every worker in this facility and every American taxpayer is directly contributing to the case for freedom. And that's something we can all be incredibly proud of.
You would think that this was World War II, and the next thing out of his mouth was start a victory garden, and you better keep on recycling the rubber. Wow. Headline CNN Politics. Biden tells Alabama workers making anti-tank missiles they make it possible for Ukraine to fight Russia. The president in Alabama earlier today.
And quite frankly, they're making fools of the Russian military in many instances. A big part of the reason they've been able to keep up fighting and to make this war a strategic failure for Russia is because the United States, together our allies and partners, have had their back. The United States alone has committed more than 5,500 javelins to Ukraine. You're changing the nation. You really are. Add to that significant supplies from our allies and partners, as well as many thousands of other anti-tank and anti-air weapons, helicopters, armored vehicles, artillery, coastal defense systems. Before Russia attacked, we made sure Russia had javelins and other weapons to strengthen the defenses so Ukraine was ready for whatever happened.
The president, crises. There's always something. Had to take the show on the road today in Alabama.
We're making it possible for the Ukrainian people to defend themselves without us having to risk getting in a third world war by sending in American soldiers fighting Russian soldiers. My dad used to have an expression. He said, the only war worse than one that's intended is one that's unintended. You're allowing the Ukrainians to defend themselves.
And again, never wanting to be a hypocrite. Keep sending money, because I don't want you to send, Mr. President, one more U.S. boot on the ground in a faraway land for some far-off war. But you just watch. This is what we want you to focus on now. Now there's the leak. I find it incredibly too hard to believe that the leak from the Supreme Court was somehow not strategic. I can't think, and I can't help but think. It is all bull. Got the 6 o'clock hour coming up. Our friends at Roll 'em Out Shelves, they want to help you declutter, get more organized. It's still spring, so you can still say, hey, you know what? Let's do an upgrade. And spring cleaning, you can do. Simple storage, clean quality construction. Joyce and Brent Tolliver operate this Colorado small business called Roll 'em Out Shelves. The Baltic birch shelves are built to your specific measurements right here in the great state of Colorado. They are guaranteed for life and installed, whether it's your kitchen or bath, pantry, laundry room, basement, anywhere you've got cabinet space, they can put a rollout shelf there. They do free in-home estimates. You're going to love getting to know Joyce and Brent. No high-pressure sales, but get the free estimate and do this kind of mini home upgrade.
Change. 87% think only ophthalmologists who have at least 8 years of medical and surgical training should do eye surgery. But 96% have not heard anything about this bill from their legislators. So please, don't wait any longer. Tell your legislators only surgeons should perform eye surgery.
Paid for by Colorado Society of Eye Physicians and Surgeons.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make $200 to $300 this year.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code CLEAN for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code CLEAN. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CLEAN for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code CLEAN for a $5 bonus.
At Alpha One Tax and Wealth, we are passionate about making sure our clients live stress-free in retirement. Our biggest fear is when meeting new clients is whether it's too late to fix another advisor's mistakes. When you're nearing retirement, it's essential that you have a written plan and know exactly how that plan will work for you in your retirement. Many consumers place loyalty to their current advisors over their own retirement success. Always get a second opinion. For a complimentary review, contact us today.
Call Alpha One Tax and Wealth at 833-650-7526 or alphaonewealth.com.
News, traffic, weather, and the latest on Ukraine. News Talk 710, KNUS, Denver. The news now.
It's 6 o'clock on your Tuesday evening. We have mostly cloudy skies, 55 degrees at DIA. Your forecast and first alert traffic coming right up. Hundreds outside the Colorado Capitol right now rallying in support of abortion rights. Colorado Democrats are condemning a report that the U.S. Supreme Court is poised to overturn the ruling that legalized abortions nationwide. Governor Jared Polis calls it disappointing. Senator Michael Bennet calls it an attack on fundamental constitutional rights. 710 traffic and weather now.
Got some new problems in the drive. Trying to get up out of the tech center now northbound 225, pretty jammed. I-25 to Parker. Now the crash near Parker Road, that's been cleared. 7-8 minutes to make that drive. That's going to start to get better. I-25 northbound, 25 up near Highway 36. That's a wreck. Heavy from I-76, some stop-and-go traffic. I-25 pretty busy in that drive trying to get in or out of downtown. And the I-70 corridor backing up now with a crash reported westbound 70 out near Quebec, Monaco in the center lane. I'm Susan Phelan.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com. Spring into spring hiring with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in one place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Mostly cloudy skies. There will be some showers and a few thunderstorms developing this evening as well as overnight. Wind shifting to the north, a low near 40. It'll be a cloudy, cool day Wednesday, low to mid-50s. Wednesday will bring occasional rain showers and a few thunderstorms to the area. Some of these showers and thunderstorms will be possible overnight Wednesday, a low near 40, 60s Thursday. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day on 710 KNUS.
Mostly cloudy, 55 right now at DIA. This update brought to you by News Nation. Dan Abrams and Ashley Banfield are now back-to-back on News Nation. Get the news without the bias. Weeknights starting at 7 Mountain on America's fastest-growing cable news network, News Nation. The country continues to react to the leaked Supreme Court document, which shows that SCOTUS plans to overturn Roe v. Wade and leave abortions decisions to individual states. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham was asked about the leak today by a reporter.
So the person who did this, or persons, did a lot of damage to the rule of law in the United States. In terms of the substance, if the opinion holds, it means that states will decide abortion rights. That's the way it was for 1973.
Denver Zoo, that lies in the heart of the Mile High City, has been nominated for Best Zoo in North America. USA Today's 10 Best Reader's Choice Award honors zoos around the country based on fan votes. Right now, Denver Zoo is currently ranked 9th in the competition. The Dow finished up today 67 points.
Portions of the following program have been pre-recorded. Begins now.
Full of the rhetoric from both sides that will continue. I hope this doesn't get any uglier than the name calling and the protests and all of that. But it is the United States in 2022, and certainly we've seen our fair share of protests turn very ugly, haven't we? We'll talk about the leak, which I think it's very hard because we're talking about such a divisive issue as abortion rights. You see what states like Colorado have implemented, signed into law. I fail to comprehend, and I'm not the sharpest tack in the box. I fully admit that. But I'm also not the dullest tool in the shed. Did you like that? That was, a couple of different ones. I cannot comprehend how anyone could justify a late-term abortion. I cannot comprehend this. Where if I prefer to say baby, maybe for some who have no problem with it, they prefer fetus. No, I prefer baby. I cannot comprehend that anyone walking the earth could justify a late-term abortion. Now, I'm going to share something with you that if you are fairly new to the program or you did not, maybe you've listened to us every day except the first day. I want to share a story with you if you will indulge. I will also tell you that I am at the risk of alienating any one of you who did not listen to my very first show on this program. I believe, I know the date was February 5th, 2018. I'm pretty sure that this happened that first day. Either that or it was the week before, but it doesn't matter. If you will indulge. When I first realized I'm here, I love it. My gosh, this is so great. I don't know how to do talk, but I'm willing to learn. Craig Silverman, Dan Kaplis, in this very studio, and I sat right across from where I'm seated right now. And they grilled me. How do you feel? Marijuana, thoughts? Sanctuary City, thoughts? Border. One of them was abortion. And my entire life, I have been pro-choice. And before you either click the radio station and never tune into this program again, I want you to hear me out because I would listen to you. I am pro-choice because I feel that up to a certain point, it should be a woman's choice. And yes, there are those cases of incest and rape. But I'm telling you how we can live in this state and just without seemingly much thought at all, those that also feel, and they are elected officials that have a hell of a lot more power than you and me when it comes to issues like this, because they vote on issues like this, that they, without seemingly any thought at all, also labeling themselves as pro-choice, would let a pregnancy continue up until almost the last moment before birth. Or in some cases after birth, and yeah, I've changed my mind. Nope, kill it. That is not me. That is not how I feel when it comes to being what I have been my entire life, and that is pro-choice. I don't expect those of you, and I have really good friends, that we just, because they are good friends, we agree to disagree on, well, at what point is it okay? And at what point is it now not okay? I understand that. But I have told you once, I've told you a lot, that I always will tell you the truth. I will tell you where I stand. I can't lie. But I do not understand when it comes to up to a certain amount of gestation and then past that. For me, I am not a doctor. I have not researched this. So I can't tell you, well, up until 14 weeks. I can't tell you that with research behind this. But it's almost, speaking of the Supreme Court, back in the day when I was a kid, and you had that Supreme Court justice say, I can't define pornography, but I know it when I see it. This is one of those issues for me. And I sure as hell can tell you that I know that what Colorado law now states, or will state, when it goes into effect, et cetera, I know that that is wrong. It's murder. When you can have a child, they prefer fetus. I say baby, child, baby is what I prefer. When he or she can live on their own, if out of the womb, that is murder. Plain and simple. And the idea that senators and politicians and even people, but elected officials, will throw out there on a day like today, they will throw out the shame and guilt and literally the Elizabeth Warrens of the world. More specifically, the Elizabeth Warren type lefty progressive Dems in DC can say, seemingly with every fiber in their being, trying to convince people like you and me, and then, of course, revving up their base, that this is just going to lead to back alley abortions. And people that live in states where, say, like Oklahoma, for example, if they can't get their abortion there, well, by God, they can't even afford right now to get on a plane or a bus or a car to go to a state where they can get an abortion. That's one of their arguments. They don't speak for me. And again, I believe in a woman's choice, but up to a certain point. And as harsh as this sounds, I say it because it's fact. Sadly enough, I can say this as fact because I have heard the story and I know the woman in this particular example personally. That some people over their lifetimes, strike that, some women out there have used abortion as birth control. And that's wrong as well. I appreciate you giving me grace. This is not like the first time that I've ever said that on the air, but again, I take you back to Caplis and Silverman are in here and they're grilling me. Well, watch out. You're going to look, I've got great friends at the Centennial Institute, at Colorado Christian. We agree to disagree on something like this. But there are a lot of people like me that have been pro-choice their entire lives, but they also see the sickening nature of what is now, say, on the books or certainly gonna be on the books in a state like Colorado. And today, I also cannot help but think that isn't it just strange coinky-dink timing that for the first time, certainly that I am ever aware of, not only in my lifetime, but maybe the United States of America and our history, that something like a leak of this magnitude comes out of the United States Supreme Court? I mean, again, I've said 3 times now, call me naive, but that is the one institution that I had faith in. Not that it's not political. I know you're smarter than this. Don't let anybody, don't let your neighbor, don't let a coworker, don't let anybody say that the Supreme Court is not political, because it is. You need proof. Look at the nomination process. Look at the power struggle. Need an example? See Merrick Garland. But the Supreme Court was the one institution that I thought there were no way. I will talk about Martians landing out in La Junta before I would say there's going to be a leak, and then a leak of this epic proportion on this, for God's sake, one of our country's history's most divisive issues. And it just so happens to come June, July, August, September, October, 6 months before midterms, almost to the day. As your humble, asking for grace radio host, 3 to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, 20 hours a week of attempted common sense on Colorado's most popular and entertaining radio program, afternoons and evenings. I am telling you, this is not just a typical leak. They know it. You know it. The president knows it. And are they ever going to find the leaker? You think they're ever going to find the leaker? Mentioned earlier, this has all the makings of, you could take something like this and say, holy crap, this is like a John Grisham novel. Credit to the mom who's had it for that on social media earlier. This could be a John Clancy if you throw a couple of explosions and some spy stuff. This is unbelievable. And what if? Is there any possibility this gets traced back to a Supreme Court justice? 303-696-1971 is our number. You can text the studio via the free-to-download app. Outstanding texts today, starting just when we went on the air at 3. I guess for the first time, Matt, I'll mention, hello, YouTube. We are on YouTube simulcast. Apparently now, Matt, you understand that we're not from here on out, we're doing it daily. Well, all three of you watching, hi, Mom. Thank you for tuning in. I do have to remember not to pick my nose. I don't really do that on the air. What a day. What a day. We'll get to phone calls in a second from earlier. The shame and guilt, the oh my God. Here's Chuck Schumer from the steps of the Capitol.
This is a dark and disturbing day for America. Last night, a report came out that a conservative majority on the United States Supreme Court is ready to overturn Roe v. Wade and uproot decades of precedent affirming a woman's right to an abortion. It is hard not to feel angry, troubled, and deeply disturbed about what overturning Roe would do to women across America. More than 20 states have laws or constitutional amendments in place that would outlaw abortions should the Supreme Court invalidate Roe. Over 80 million women live in those states. If the report is accurate, the decision would be an abomination, one of the worst ever in modern history.
Meanwhile, that's outside the Capitol. Inside the Capitol, Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, I think the story today is an effort by someone on the inside to discredit the institution of the Senate, which continues a pattern that we've observed over the last couple of years. Leader Schumer over on the steps of the Supreme Court calling out justices by name. Sheldon Whitehouse and others filing amicus briefs threatening the court. Efforts to pack the court. Efforts to have term limits for court justices. What's unique about today is this is the first time we've had somebody on the inside try to attack the institution. Fortunately, I think the Chief Justice has taken that seriously and will find the leaker.
Mitch McConnell there, by the way, not a fan of him. Certainly not a fan of Chucky. Chief Justice John Roberts issued a statement earlier today, which reads in part, he talks about the intensely loyal to the institution staff, dedicated to the rule of law, the Supreme Court justices, and everyone in that building on hallowed ground. He says, quote, "This was a singular and egregious breach of that trust that is an affront to the court and the community of public servants who work here. I have directed the marshal of the court to launch an investigation into the source of the leak." Close quote. Nuts. Let's get to Bruce in Westminster. Bruce, welcome. Good evening to you.
Hey, Steffan, thanks
Hi.
a bunch.
Sure.
I really couldn't help but smile a bit as you went on about this whole situation. And let me preface it by saying I don't think the government has any business in what a woman decides ever. It's just not the government's business. And this is not about abortion. It's about what the government does.
I hear you.
But as far as our snowy white Supreme Court goes, I remember impeach Earl Warren, where the court overturned 50 years of precedent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I also remember Plessy versus Ferguson 50 years before, when the court came up with the ridiculous ruling, or go back another 50 years and Roger Taney was on the Supreme Court and they did, it slipped my mind now, but when they basically ruled slaves property and therefore had no standing to bring a suit. Dred Scott.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always been politics.
Oh, no, I agree with you,
Bruce. We want to pretend it's not.
Yeah.
But it's always been politics, and that's why who you make president makes all the difference in the world.
Amen.
It's too bad we don't live in a society where we truly respect the decisions and choices of our fellow citizens.
Good call, Bruce.
And
Thank you.
We can't seem to do that.
I
Thanks,
agree with
Evan.
you. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate the call and for you listening in. We've got to take a break. We'll get one more phone call. Joe on the other side. If you want to be patient, we will certainly get to your phone call first up after the news break. I will say that of all the issues, this is why I think it's strategic. What would fire up an otherwise, and they being our friends on the left, they should be terrified of the first year plus of the Joe Biden presidency. They can tell you, they can compare. What will they do? They'll bring up Donald Trump. No. Donald Trump ain't in the picture. It's your guy. You own him. Accept who you voted for. This first year plus of the Biden administration has been among the worst in any president in recent history right out of the chute. They know it, and we certainly know it. So just when they should be feeling like, you know what? It's like seeing a bug, fairly big bug, and you decide to step on it. And for good measure, you grind it in. Because, quoting from the Wizard of Oz, it's not just dead, it's really, really dead, or whatever that is from the Munchkins. Okay? They, right now, are so freaking vulnerable, and they know it. So what would be a way to have them rise up? But this. Scott in Littleton, you've been very patient. Thank you. We are going to news after your phone call. Good evening to you, and thanks.
Yes, I was going to talk about Jason Crow, but you passionately stayed on the subject, and I'm going to be courteous and stay on this subject as well.
Well, thank you for the courtesy.
I think your rationale, first of all, you're being honest. You're using humanity and logic to base your opinion of this, and I couldn't agree in any other way, because of the way you have stated your opinion on it. The thing that drives me nuts is this state is going to hell.
Yep.
And I'm living in a state that have more, they're coming from Illinois and California and Michigan and all these liberal places. And the fact that these people don't care about aborting a kid when he's playing t-ball drives me absolutely insane.
Yep.
And the Republicans, they need to counter this and not go off in a million different directions. They can simply state that the Supreme Court has made a decision not to outlaw abortion, but to put it where it constitutionally belongs, and that is with the states. And they need to do it simply like I just stated.
So true.
And
yes,
and get it out. And they won't do it because they're a bunch of boneheads, but that's what they need to do. And I thank you and appreciate, and I'd love to get back with Jason.
Hey, please
Crow.
do. Please do. You know what, Scott? And because you've been so patient, and not just because you have said nice things and you didn't yell at me for being on hold so long, we'll break the rule. If you want to call back later this week, we can talk about Crow, who was with Pelosi. And there's an interesting angle, my man, and I hope you do call back later. There is an interesting angle to, did you notice no Republicans were on this trip? Did you know, did you know, Scott, I don't know if you've read this, that no Republicans went to Ukraine on this boondoggle recently because they weren't invited, or if they were, and I've heard this both ways, but if they were, they didn't want to just go to Poland. Well, the plan was all along to go to Ukraine, but they told the Republicans they were going to Poland, and therefore, like, I don't want to go to Poland with Pelosi. We'll talk about that more. And thank you, Scott, for the phone call. I mean, again, politics has nothing to do with it. I mean, put me on the phone with or the plane with Queen Pelosi. I don't have to sit next to her or talk with her. I don't have to share ice cream. But yeah, they didn't tell anybody because of apparently security reasons. Someone knew they were going to Poland and then Ukraine. It just depends on who you are and what letters in front of your name as to how much information you're getting. It is so sick. Wow. It is dinner time. It is time to think about my friends at the Black Eyed Pea. When's the last time you've been there? There are 9 Colorado locations owned by my friends Steve and Michelle, the mom and pops behind this Colorado small business. Yeah, they've got 9 locations and they made it through the pandemic. So proud of them. And how about if you can't maybe get there this week for lunch or dinner? How about this Sunday? Yeah, it's Mother's Day. Do not make her cook. Do not let her cook. I'm telling you this right now. How about celebrating at the Black Eyed Pea? Specials include their delicious grilled salmon, hand-carved prime rib, grilled mahi-mahi. This is because I have dry mouth. They have the mafia fish. No, it's called mahi-mahi. It's delicious. They also have the chicken cordon bleu. Thank you, Matt, for smiling. Mom's going to love them. Don't make her cook. Seriously. Hey, lady, what are you going to make? That sounds like my childhood. Hey, it's Mother's Day. What are you fixing me to eat? Anyway, at the Black Eyed Pea, a little bit of too much TMI there. Too much personal family information. It was truly like that, though. 2 sides. Fresh baked rolls and cornbread. Featured dessert as well. They've got the cup of cherry cobbler with ice cream. Celebrate, Mom. $3.65, but celebrate this Sunday. They open at 10:30 at your local Black Eyed Pea. I love everything about them, even if they serve grilled mafia fish or mafi-mafi. She's going to love it. Get to Black Eyed Pea, Colorado today.
Slow down to along I-25, that northbound drive from University into downtown. Still about 10 minutes, running crowded in the downtown drive. We get a wreck reported northbound 25, just after Highway 36, 270. It's off on the shoulder. It's causing some curiosity, running crowded from I-76 on past that wreck. Now, southbound I-25 near Colorado Boulevard, crash there. A bit slow back toward Emerson. Driving I-70 looks better. The problem westbound 70 near Quebec cleared. There's a crash first in Monaco. I'm Susan Thielen.
This report is sponsored by Indeed.com.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher for MediShare. If something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, right? Switching to MediShare to pay for health care can save the typical family $500 a month. Wow. What would you do with $500 extra every single month? Pay some bills, fill up your gas tank, even as challenging as that is these days. Maybe take a vacation. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. I learned that the customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's amazing. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. And the very best part of all is that people save money and they're happier with MediShare. MediShare is a godsend. Give them a call right now, 855-94-BIBLE. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. MediShare, here's the number, 855-94-BIBLE. That's 855-94-BIBLE for MediShare.
Are you ready? Get ready. News Talk 710 KNUS presents the Colorado Republican Rumble. A day of debates featuring statewide Republican candidates for Secretary of State, Governor, U.S. Senate, Saturday, May 21st at the Grizzly Rose, starting at high noon, featuring News Talk 710's own George Brockler helping moderate the event. Watch it in person or stream it live. Complete details at 710knus.com. The Colorado Republican Rumble is presented by the Republican Women of Weld in partnership with the Adams County Republican Women and News Talk 710 KNUS.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You're not required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-786-2300. 800-786-2300. That's 800-786-2300.
The Tree Farm's early spring tree and shrub sale now through Mother's Day. See what's on sale at thetreefarm.com. 6 to 8 foot tall spring snow fruitless crabapple trees now $199.99 each. 3-year-old Cheyenne privet hedge now gets 6 for $266. And you always get free professional loading. The Tree Farm's early spring tree and shrub sale now through Mother's Day.
You
Come
take
see.
I-25 to exit 235, then 5 miles west to the Tree Farm.
J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling is your source for junk hauling, decluttering, demolition, cleanouts, and e-waste recycling. Whether it's clearing out an entire home, one room, or commercial space, J-Dog provides the best service at very competitive prices. Trust J-Dog to haul it out without you having to lift a thing. They are veteran-owned, operated, and hiring. Visit them at veteran-junkbizco.com. That's veteran-junkbizco.com.
News Talk 7.
News coming up within the next 10, 12 minutes or so. Thank you for listening. We're going to continue this. This is the start of something new. Yeah, they can burn cities and they can do it all in the name of the thug, criminal, idiot, George Floyd, who, by the way, should still be alive. I'm not saying we're going to see any fires. Wouldn't surprise me. I'm not saying we're not going to see, or we're going to see riots. Wouldn't surprise me. But this is new. An unprecedented leak about a decision on this issue. Timely. Very timely. Joe in Denver, thank you for your patience, brother, and welcome to the program. Good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, I totally agree. It's very political. And it's just another sign of how devolved our political parties have become and how low they'll go to accomplish whatever political power grab they're trying to get. I'm also equally cynical of the Christian community now that they got their grand prize that they've been supposedly working for 30 years. Mm-hmm. Let's see if they actually step up and, demand that the government help these kids now that they've essentially made them property of the state. And it's like, once you're pregnant, your fetus is property of the state. You're required to grow this out, bear the child. You can give it up. You can do whatever, raise it. But you have the responsibility to do that responsibility. And then our hands are going to be washed clean, and don't come crying to us if you know.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, respectfully, I disagree. Respectfully, I disagree, and I appreciate the points you made, but this is not outlawing abortion as we've talked about. This is giving it to the states where many people say that that's where it should be anyway. And then the argument will be, well, what if, some poor woman is in a state that does not allow abortions and she can't even get out of state? Again, it goes back to that cliche back alley, dark alley abortions. This is not saying that.
Well, do you think if somebody leaves the state, has an abortion, and then comes back, that they could be charged by that state? Because that's what's going to happen.
Well, that's your opinion. I don't know if that's going to happen. In fact, I don't think it would. But nothing,
the law
brother,
is written to allow it.
Nothing would surprise
written
me.
To allow it.
Yeah, nothing would surprise me.
And look, I think I'm pro-life. While I can be pro-choice for the people whose lives I have no influence or control over, and it is between them and whatever higher power, if they even believe in one.
Mm-hmm.
So we talk about how much, we value life, but every chance I think.
Do we though,
society,
Joe? Do we?
No, we don't.
Do we value life?
We don't. No.
There's no
not
sanctity of life in this general world we live in, to me. Now, you have people that you wouldn't go kill someone. At least I don't think you would. I wouldn't just go, randomly go kill somebody. I've got the sanctity of life and I know right from wrong. But sadly, in this country, sadly, many people within the sound of our voices feel that way, that people are, who cares if I can go bust into a jewelry store and get me, stuff. If I got to kill 3 people, so be it. That happens every day in this state.
Sure. Oh, hey,
you look at me wrong.
Working single mother, and and guess what? I don't want to have to pay benefits, so I'm only going to give you 32 hours. It's a business decision. It's a harsh reality. Life sucks. We don't care. We don't. I'm just. There is no. There is no corporate responsibility other than to the shareholder, and so. Workers are commodity.
Well, let's try to I'll give you the last word, but narrow it down and focus for me. There are a lot of things. Look, the homeless situation, for example, no one can ever convince me in this lifetime or 10 others that throwing money at the problem is going to solve it, because we've seen that proof is in the pudding. It hasn't. But you also can't say, at least in my opinion, you cannot say that, well, the government's turned a blind eye to that. No, there are billions of dollars probably collectively in this country every year thrown at an issue like homelessness, and it's still an issue. So you can't just be selective, I guess, is my opinion. I'll give you the last word. I got to get to one more phone call. Go ahead.
Well, there are so many problems that are intertwined with each other. It's hard to solve one without addressing another.
True.
And in the meantime, we just got to do the best we got to do. But I'm seeing a level of raw-based power grabs in the highest of our political systems, and it's very troubling to me.
Yeah. Good call, Joe. I appreciate it. I hope you call again. Final call of the program, and we'll get to news coming up. Greg in Denver. Greg, welcome. Good evening, and thanks.
Steffan, right after the President Trump was elected, I got socially excommunicated from my church for saying that the angels are all high-fiving because of the hundreds of thousands of babies that just got taken off of death row. We need to thank President Trump for this journey, for this part of the adventure. If it wasn't for President Trump, we would not have had those 3 Supreme Court justices, and that was really what the election was all about. Politically, he should have done a mic drop after that, because those 3 conservative Supreme Court justices will go much longer than President Trump's legacy.
Right. No, or that he could be or could have been in office literally with a maximum of 2 terms. Let me ask you real quick, and I don't mean to rush you. We just got to get to a final break.
Sure.
Do you think that, as we've kind of talked about throughout the program, look, I'm trying to keep my feet on the ground and not get too spun up about this and still try to think logically. And I got to tell you, brother, logically, I don't see any way, shape, or form that this is not calculated, and this leak was for purposes down the road. See midterms in November. What do you think?
They're exposing themselves. I keep telling you, let's give them the microphone. Let's give them every platform because they're exposing themselves. You look at the polls, the young people have seen it. They're tired of having the government wee down their neck and telling them that it's raining.
Mm-hmm. Great call. Thank you, Greg. That's a way to wrap up a very busy program. And friends, it's only Tuesday. We will continue to talk about this. I mean, good Lord, what's next? I got to get over myself. I got to be honest with you. I got to get over myself and being butthurt that the one entity that I thought something like this would never happen to, by God, it has. You know what, really, it kind of like, if I could use a sound effect, this is how I kind of felt. This is putting it mildly. This morning when I heard that, in fact, the leak and the 94 pages and Alito's words, etc. Yeah. I'm like, no, please don't justify. Don't tell me that it's real. Please tell me it's fake. No. What a world. We will wrap up the program. I don't know. I got to find something. I know what we'll do. Play a little bit of Lauren Boebert. A reminder to go to our podcast page tonight. That'll wrap up the program. Our conversation with the Congresswoman last hour. We'll play you just a chunk of it to wrap up the program. Sunday, as mentioned, is Mother's Day, and you need maybe a special gift for the special lady in your life. Something luxurious, yet you don't want to break the bank. Well, you may consider the restaurant or flower route, and nothing wrong with that. But for the last couple of years, haven't women in your life had a stressful time? Juggling time between the family and the job and you. Got a great idea. This Mother's Day, give her something she desperately needs, and that would be some peace and quiet to herself to relax and rejuvenate. Get with my friends at Beau Visage Skincare and Spa. I've been telling you about this great facility for years. Buy her a few hours of pampering. I suggest Beau Visage. I've been there myself. I've given the gift of Beau Visage. It's clean and professional, and they specialize in luxurious services from the soothing massages to fabulous European facials and relaxing massages. Spa packages available, all at competitive prices. Details on their gift packages can be found at their website, bvspa.com, or 303-779-5002, 303-779-5002. This Mother's Day, treat the special lady in your life like a queen. Call Beau Visage, 303-779-5002, or bvspa.com.
Now, news, traffic, weather, and the latest on Ukraine.
On the third day of May 2022. Right now, groups are gathering outside Colorado's Capitol building, rallying in support of abortion rights. People nationwide are marching and mobilizing to the possible Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe versus Wade. The Women's March organization rallied supporters for abortion access to march at their local federal buildings, town halls, and town squares. Rise up for abortion rights as protests going on today across the country. Both pro and anti-abortion protesters have been demonstrating in front of the Supreme Court since last night. President Biden is condemning atrocities and war crimes being committed by Russian forces in Ukraine. Biden visited a weapons factory in Alabama and praised Ukrainians for their courage. He said they're making fools of the Russians' military in many cases. Biden also cited an ongoing battle in the world between democracy and autocracy. He added, if you don't stand up for dictators, they keep coming. Ex-Bronco cornerback Bryce Callahan has signed a one-year deal with the Chargers today. This update brought to you by Allstate. Looking to save money with DriveWise from Allstate. The safer you drive, the more you can save. At Allstate, better protection costs a whole lot less. Visit allstate.com or call an agent for a quote today. Dow finished up today 67 points. S&P 500 finished higher by 20 points. NASDAQ up 27. I'm Roger Crittlebaugh, News Talk 710.
Couple of wrecks along I-25. Now still at that crash northbound 25 just after Highway 36, 270 on the shoulder. You're running crowded from I-76 up to that wreck. Southbound I-25, problem near Colorado Boulevard. That's been cleared. Looking much better there. Opening up nicely between downtown and the tech center. Still running busy on that 270 drive across Commerce City, eastbound at about 12 minutes from I-25 down to I-70. Now I-70 looks great. Speeds opening up there. Highway 36 and C-470, trouble-free. I'm Susan Phelan.
This report is sponsored by News Nation. Dan Abrams and Ashley Banfield are now back-to-back on News Nation. Get the news without the bias. Weeknights starting at 7 Mountain on America's fastest-growing cable news network. News Nation.
Mostly cloudy skies. There will be some showers and a few thunderstorms developing this evening as well as overnight. Wind shifting to the north, a low near 40. It'll be a cloudy, cool day Wednesday, low to mid-50s. Wednesday will bring occasional rain showers and a few thunderstorms to the area. Some of these showers and thunderstorms will be possible overnight Wednesday, a low near 40, 60s Thursday. Weather brought to you by Colorado Flat Fee Realty. Now with a 2% option, pay less, keep more. ColoradoFlatFeeRealty.com. Meteorologist on day on 710 KNUS.
Susan, I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic is terrible.
It sure is. But on top of that, gas prices have been skyrocketing. I can't believe how expensive gas has gotten recently.
Prices at the pump are up, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I get real cash back every time I buy gas.
And does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make $200 to $300 this year.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code CLEAN for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's promo code CLEAN. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code CLEAN for a $5 bonus on your first tank. That's code CLEAN for a $5
It
bonus.
seems like just yesterday when I captured my son's first steps or when we recorded his soccer games on VHS tapes. Those moments are gone. But the old home movies and pictures don't need to be. That's why my son created Legacy Box.
That's right, Mom. Over 1 million families have used Legacy Box to digitally preserve their old home movies and photos.
Simply fill Legacy Box with your old camcorder tapes, film, and photos. They will professionally digitize and send them back on DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud.
With Mother's Day around the corner, it's the perfect time to get your Legacy Box and save your family's history. After all, few things are as important as protecting your precious memories. Give your mom a Mother's Day present she'll never forget. Legacy Box is offering a 60% discount. Order yours today and take advantage of our best Mother's Day sale ever. Visit legacybox.com/lbox and for a limited time, get an incredible 60% off your order. That's legacybox.com/lbox for 60% off. legacybox.com/lbox.
Hi, I'm Gabe Walker from Alpine Planning Group. Wealth accumulation is never simple, but it's the distribution phase where we believe clients absolutely need a partner to navigate market cycles, assist with changes, and ensure retirement portfolios will last. At Alpine Planning Group, we specialize in wealth management. We're local, we're personal, and we customize every plan. If you'd like to meet or learn more, give us a call at 303-843-0918. Have a plan, have a partner, call Alpine Planning Group today.
News Talk 710 KN.
Been going on in the Beltway and literally across the country since we learned about the leak.
Because if Roe v. Wade is overturned, we have to assume there's more to come.
They are scared. They are frightened. Who better to talk about it with right now than Colorado Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, our friend of the program. Holy cow, friend, what a time for you to be in Congress. You've been talking about it via social media, etc. thank you so much for the time on a very busy day.
Absolutely, Steffan. You know, this is such an important topic right now to discuss. So I'm honored to be here, to be in this fight, to be a voice for the voiceless, and to talk about it with you and your listeners so they can really grasp what's actually happening with SCOTUS and even Congress's role in this.
Yeah, we heard, and we've been talking about it. The Democrats, they went on the steps of Capitol Hill. The Republicans, Chuck Schumer, probably didn't get a chance to hear live because I think it was kind of concurrent. But Mitch McConnell's talking about it. This does nothing, obviously, to unite this country, but it's also a two-parter, I think, Lauren, and that is you've got an issue of a leak from the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the issue. Can I start with, if you don't mind, maybe the not the obvious one? Let's talk about the leak. Do you have concerns? Yeah. I sure do.
I absolutely do. This is unprecedented to have a major leak like this come from our Supreme Court. And who is behind this? Right. Is this some radical leftist who is in there and supporting one of these leftist judges? I mean, I don't know. But what is the cause of it? I don't think it was a cause to celebrate. I think it was more of a cause to get Americans outraged because the left is losing on every policy that they are putting forward when it comes to inflation, when it comes to our supply chains, when it comes to jobs, when it comes to our children in school, the invasion at our southern border, the horrible withdrawal, this complete surrender to the Taliban in Afghanistan. They are losing on every issue, our energy crisis. And so was this leaked to create outrage amongst Americans and more division? We hear so much from the left, their talking points, they want to unite the country. I have not seen any such effort to unite the country. But
just a bit of our interview with Lauren Boebert last hour. You can hear it in its entirety. Matt will put up commercial break free every hour of today's program. You can find that. Download the app. You can listen to podcasts that way, as well as, of course, on our website. I'll remind you of the Friday Homestretch Film Review Film of the Week coming up in mere moments. First, though, thank you to our sponsors like Garrett and his team at 888 Heating. And this is the time of year where even my heater, I forgot I didn't turn it off, clicked on, I think last night or the night before. Look, you're at that point where maybe you're starting to think about the air conditioner, but old Bessie gave you all she could last season. Well, right now, up to $2,000 off any new unit, furnace, or AC unit. Get your $88 performance check. Get with my friends at 888 Heating. Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades. They're going to go through with their performance check, make sure everything in your system is clean, and that obviously can help to prevent damage. No pressure, high pressure sales stuff. You'll just get great, reliable service and the best products from American Standard. Online anytime, schedule hassle-free there. You can see their specials tab and be sure to read customer reviews from, say, fellow listeners like you. 888heating.com. That's 888heating.com. And be sure to tell them Steffan sent you. As we wrap up, you'll have tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night, most of Friday. Join us as we watch and review a funny one from 1989. Dateline Cleveland. When they were the Indians, and not the Guardians, Major League. Wild thing. Yep. Charlie Sheen and a bunch of others. Tom Berenger. Whatever happened to him? Honest to God, I hope he's still alive. I don't know. It's okay. We'll find out.